touchdown pass to former Pitt great Julius Dawkins. How strong are the Pittsburgh Gladiators? Well, last week they scored an arena football record 82 points in a victory against the New England Steamrollers. Watch this great play. Brad Caleb, the intended receiver, it's intercepted, and Caleb says, that's my football. Two-way football in arena football. Joe Herring, the head coach. We're in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, the Steel City. And coming up next, the Los Angeles Cobras and the Pittsburgh Gladiators. From the Civic Arena in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, ESPN presents Arena Football. Tonight's game is brought to you by Budweiser. Beechwood Age for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. By Kellogg's Frosted Flakes. The taste adults have grown to love. They're great. And by your local Little Caesars, where you get two great pizzas for one low price. And let's take a look at the standings in the Arena Football League as we head into the third week. Pittsburgh and Chicago undefeated. Detroit with a win last night over New England. New York at 1-1 and Los Angeles at 0-2. Hi, everybody, and welcome to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, along with former Seattle Seahawks wide receiver Steve Rabel. I'm Roger Twibel. Steve, what's the difference between the 2-0 Gladiators and the 0-2 Cobras?
There are a couple of coaches asking that same question. Turnovers, as far as Pittsburgh is concerned, they have gotten the turnovers, converted those into points. Los Angeles has given up easy touchdowns. They've made a lot of penalties, made it difficult for themselves.
This is our third telecast of Arena Football, and as we continue to learn the rules, we hope that you continue to learn the rules. So, Steve, why don't we take a look at them right now? And, of course, we start with the field size.
Very quickly, the field is about half the size of an outdoor field. You have nets at both ends that you can play off of, and goalposts are narrower, so the kickers have a much more difficult time. Substitution rules once a quarter, and as we continue on, the rest of the rules, 8 men to a side. You have to play both ways in this game, offense and defense. You'll see some drop kicks, perhaps, and man-to-man defense only, like the NBA, no zones.
The Cobras and the Gladiators coming up next from Pittsburgh, and we'll be back with more of our pregame show in just a moment.
Budweiser and Bud Light join with USA Today to give baseball fans something new. Now, for the first time, you can also pick up an official All-Star fan ballot free wherever you pick up Bud or Bud Light. Vote for your favorite Major League players. Then, test your baseball trivia and win valuable prizes.
Answers are in USA Today every day.
So fans, settle back with a cold Bud or Bud Light. Vote for your favorite All-Stars and be part of a baseball tradition.
I tell you, he's gotten goofy.
I like your dad.
Dad? He thinks he's my brother. Last night we were shooting hoops at 10 o'clock.
So?
Marty, this is the same man who never lifted his nose out of a newspaper. Now we listen to Z-Rock on the radio. What is this?
The right vitamin nutrition and a balanced diet helps people get more out of life. Some are finding Kellogg's Product 19, 100% of 12 vitamins and minerals.
I just wish he'd act his age, like your dad.
Feel like 19 again.
The sights, the sounds, the unforgettable performances. Warm up for all the day's action with Game Day. Every Saturday and Sunday morning at 11:30 Eastern on ESPN.
The Los Angeles Cobras know they need to play better defense, and they've made some roster changes, partially out of injuries. The NFL veteran Cliff Branch is out, and they've replaced him with a defensive specialist.
Lou Green is the defensive specialist. He's an aggressive hitter. He'll come in. Los Angeles will get better defense. However, they may be missing something in the speed of Cliff Branch.
And a quarterback, of course, Matt Stevens has done a good job, but Ray Wilsey will probably take a look at Eric Beavers, a youngster from Nevada Reno.
This young man rewrote the record books in college at Nevada Reno. He's not very big, but he's got a strong arm, and he's a real competitor.
One of the keys for the Pittsburgh Gladiators is their head coach, Joe Herring. He was their coach a year ago, and there are 8 players back from that team, and he admits that's why they've gotten off to such a very good start.
Roger, no question about it. The strength of this team is his players know what Joe Herring wants, and, of course, he knows what to ask of them. Many of them are defensive players. They give him exactly what he wants on the defensive and offensive side of the ball.
And not only are they defensive players, but per man, they're probably one of the smallest teams in arena football. Joe Herring has decided to go with quickness instead of size, and it's paid off so far. We'll be back with the opening kickoff of tonight's game, the Los Angeles Cobras and the Pittsburgh Gladiators, in just a moment.
Could I have prevented it?
You could with Thompson's water.
This is the new probe. Not too long ago, it existed only as an experimental model at Ford. A prototype for auto shows, a car out of the future. But this is the year you get to stop looking at it and actually drive it. You can even take one home. The probe from Ford. It's hard to believe it's really here.
The end is here at Simon's Furniture, 7126 Miramar Road in San Diego. Listed as some of our satisfied customers.
And when I arrived at Simon's, I was given excellent service by a friendly staff. Really took into consideration my needs and my budget. I would definitely recommend Simon's. Come on down, it's gorgeous furniture.
But hurry, when it's gone, it's all gone. It's the going out of this sale at Simon's Furniture, across from the airplane on Miramar Road in San Diego.
A lot of people don't realize in college, when you're kicking field goals and extra points, you're looking at a crossbar that's 23 feet across, and you come to arena football, and I got to tell you, it's like apples and oranges.
It's like kicking down a hallway is what it is. You're looking at a 9-foot crossbar, elevated to 15 feet. Very, very difficult. But the one thing that Fricke does very well, he had a problem early in the season kicking field goals. One thing that Joe Herring tells us he does very well is kick the ball deep and into the nets. So we'll see if he gives his team an opportunity to get down and make the play.
Which is then a line ball after it hits the ground off the net. And, for example, last week against New England, the Gladiators scored 20 points in the first 72 seconds, and 2 touchdowns came off those kicks against the net. So it can be a very effective tool in arena football as we're set to go from the Civic Arena in Pittsburgh, and that is high off the net. And the Cobras and Gary Mullen, he's a local youngster across the 12 to the 13-yard line, played his college football at West Virginia. As we take a look at the offense, Stevens, the quarterback, Weppy Powell, the running back, McKnight, and Mullen, Lockett, and Palomera, along with Clark and Harris. That's the offense for the Los Angeles Cobras, coached by Ray Wilsey, formerly an assistant with the Los Angeles Raiders, and, of course, looking for their first victory of the year as they'll put it in play 1st and 10 at the 12-yard line. Weppy Powell, and he might get a yard or 2. Now, Powell is one of the better rushers in arena football. As we take a look at defense, Ernest Adams, Dave Opfar, Craig Walls up front, Brian Moran, Craig Federico, Rock Richmond, Rob Miner, and Julius Dawkins.
And once again, the strength of the Pittsburgh team is the fact that they have mostly defensive players on their team. They switch around and play offense pretty well, but their strength is certainly on the defensive side of the ball.
Weppy Powell, the second leading rusher in arena football. 44 yards coming in. Mullen with the reception, and that's going to be very close to a first down. And it is a first down across the 23 to the 24-yard line. Mullen was very excited about coming back here and playing tonight.
Well, he wants to come back and play before the hometown fans. He's got some family and friends here this evening. As you watch Matt Stevens turn and fire, defensive back playing way off of Gary Mullen, and rightly so, because Mullen's got so much speed. You have to honor that. But again, remember, if you play too deep, just dropping off back there, the officials may call it a zone.
Mullen from Clairton, PA, and of course Pennsylvania has always been a hotbed for high school football. As Stevens is nailed, and the man coming in to drop him is 67 David Opfar. He's 6'4", 265, played collegiately at Penn State, and was a pretty good player in the United States Football League.
Has a national championship ring, as a matter of fact, on his finger from his days with the Nittany Lions. There you see him just fighting through the block, and this is the thing that Joe Herring likes about his defensive team. He's got quick players up there who can get around blocks and get in and make the play on the quarterback.
Opfar and Ogren are the two big players for the Gladiators as they go to Mullen, and he's knocked into the boards at the 26-yard line. Now, Steve, you played wide receiver for many years in the National Football League, but I don't care what kind of hit you took, whether it was from Jack Tatum, you never had to run into boards like that.
No, I ran out of bounds one time and got nailed by the sideline markers, and that was painful enough. But when you come flying off the field, you have 1 yard between the sidelines and these very well padded, but still stationary walls around this arena, and it does smart.
Remember, folks, the clock doesn't stop on out of bounds. The clock doesn't stop on incomplete passes until the final minute of the first half and the final minute of the game. Stevens chased out of the pocket. Mullen comes back for it. Nice job. You just have to have 1 foot in bounds, and that pass is complete. And Mullen showed you what all good receivers do. They come back to the football.
When these two players play together a little longer, and I'm talking about Matt Stevens and Gary Mullen, they'll get this feeling down between themselves, and that's what you have to call it between a quarterback and a receiver, a sense. You have to know what your quarterback is doing as a receiver. You have to come back and help him. Cliff Branch, again, he brings that to this team were he dressed and out here for the Cobras tonight.
1st and 10 from the 12. Weppy Powell inside the 10 to the 9 and crashes into the boards. Powell came into the game 11 carries and 44 yards, right behind Billy Stone, who had 45 yards. But Ray Wilsey would like to establish a bit of a running game. Joe Herring, on the other hand, says, hey, we just do it to remind everybody we can do it.
Well, Ray, of course, wants to do it to control the football, because the longer his offensive team stays on the field, the more difficult it is for the opposition to put their offense out there and perhaps score points against some weaker defensive players.
15-minute quarters. 11:08 to go in the first quarter, and a little mix-up right there. Mullen went down instead of out.
A lot of read patterns in this game, and that is when you're getting man-to-man defense, if you're the receiver and the quarterback, you're looking at the same thing, supposedly. If you line up there wide and the defensive back maybe creeps right up in your face, you may have a call on that you just take off and run downfield. Somewhere in there was a missed read, a missed assignment.
Want to keep an eye on 54 Craig Walls. He's 6'3" and 215, one of those smaller players that Joe Herring has, as McKnight goes in motion. Stevens has got him wide open, and it's a touchdown for the Los Angeles Cobras.
That play was made that time by Matt Stevens. His ability to roll out and challenge the defense, the defensive back had to come up and make the play. Otherwise, Matt Stevens trots in for the touchdown, and in so doing, he leaves Matt McKnight wide open in the end zone.
Second touchdown catch of the year for Matt McKnight, the 11th touchdown pass for Matt Stevens, and it's very important for this Cobras football team, the style that Wilsey wants to play for them, to get in front. They did it last week in Chicago. They fell apart in the third quarter, though. As the point after now attempted, Ken Olson. And that's good. Folks, that's just 9 feet wide there. It's like, go to your front door and just think of putting your front door together a couple of times and try to kick a ball through there. You see what these guys go through. 7-0. The Cobras score first in Pittsburgh.
Yes, I'd like 2 of those pizzas.
Those pizzas? They'll be $17.99.
$17.99? But it says $10.99.
Not for those pizzas.
How can that be?
I think if you refer to the fine print.
Fine print?
Does not render vendor responsible.
May I help you?
Who are you?
I'd like to introduce our corporate attorney. He's here on a regular basis.
No, I'm not surprised.
At Little Caesars, you always get 2 great pizzas for 1 low price.
Pizza.
Only at Little Caesars.
Hold it. Ho. So you're gonna finally meet Cindy, huh? Tonight. Good. So first impressions are very important. I think. Okay. Now, imagine. Lights are low, the music's soft. Knock the door opens up. Somebody's out there doing this. What is this? She's got dandruff? No, you have dandruff. No. Yes, you do. I shampoo every day. You shampoo your brains out with regular shampoo, wouldn't matter. Your brains out? Yeah, well, so use that. Head and Shoulders? Works for me, my friend. But you don't have dandruff. Exactamundo!
Head and Shoulders. Because you never get a second chance to make a first impression.
You know what really burns me up? My feet. Athlete's foot kept flaring up. I get rid of it for a while, but it just flare up again. Finally went to the doctor. He told me to get Tenactin. It's what doctors and pharmacists recommend most. Tenactin even cures recurring athlete's foot. Use it regularly like they tell you. It'll keep the fly from coming back.
Fast-actin Tenactin puts athlete's foot out for good.
boy satin finish has the look that gets the looks. The look that's today's hottest decorating trend. You can see why it's worth more.
Roger Twibel, Steve Rabel back with you at the Civic Arena. This is where the Pittsburgh Penguins and Mario Lemieux play hockey, and hope you enjoyed the hockey on ESPN earlier this evening, and we're glad to be here with you as you take a look at the Pittsburgh Gladiators as they get set to receive the kickoff. Rock Richmond is 29, the man nearest to you, as Olsen, who kicks it straight ahead, and you kick off from the goal line here.
And if Olsen has the kind of luck that Fricke had a few moments ago, he will too kick it into the net.
Rob Miner is the other man back deep for the Pittsburgh Gladiators, who, along with Chicago, the only undefeated teams remaining in arena football. And that's off the net. It's live, and wisely, Miner will down it, and they bring it out to the 5-yard line. Not to the 20, but to the 5.
Remember here, folks, we're talking arena football. This is only a 50-yard field. It's only 85 feet wide. Certainly cuts down the passing lanes.
Mike Hohensee, the quarterback. Craig Federico, who Joe Herring says is the best athlete maybe in the arena game. Ernest Adams, Julius Dawkins, great player at Pitt. Rob Miner, Brian Moran, Dave Opvar, and Walls up front for the Pittsburgh Gladiators. Mike Hohensee, out of the University of Minnesota, played in the USFL. And the pass was right on the numbers, but Julius Dawkins, number 46, not able to hold on, and the defensive play made there by Richard Rogers. As we take a look at the defense, Lou Sorrentino's a new addition to Los Angeles. Wes Walton is 66, Michael Jones 65, Rob DeVita, a very versatile player, 42, Lou Green, the new addition, 26, Joe Kelly, Richard Rogers, and Ed, I call him Crack Seaman, because he really likes to come up and give you a crack, doesn't he?
He loves to play defensive back, and you'll see him a lot tonight.
In motion was Brian Moran, as Hohensee's got a man open. Rob Miner is pulled down inside the 10-yard line.
Well, Miner making a good catch that time. Just a great route all the way across the field. And Green trying to catch up. Green has his jersey tied up. They're kind of tough to spot exactly who he was at first. Again, from ground level, you can see Miner just simply running away from Green. Now, remember, Green's only been on this Los Angeles Cobra team for
Monday,
a very short period of time. But they're going to throw him out here to the Wolves today and see exactly what he can do, because they need his help on defense.
Apparently, there was a penalty. Personal foul, roughing the passer, and so the ball is moved 5 yards inside the 5.
Remember, folks, even though we're talking about arena football here, most of the normal rules of football apply, and that is if you nail the quarterback after he's released the ball, you're looking at a penalty.
So Luke Green is 26. He's the man that replaced the injured Cliff Branch. And Hohensee. The reception, it looked like Rob Miner, and they're going to give him a touchdown.
And we're going to have a little controversy about this, I believe. Los Angeles players, they are hot. Watch the reception by Miner. Now he's going to stretch out, break the plane. The ground cannot cause a fumble. Did he break the plane before the ball bounces on the ground? The officials say yes, and it's 6 points for Pittsburgh.
That's what they're ruling. So Miner with the touchdown reception from Hohensee, and Hohensee now with 14 touchdown passes on the season.
And this was one thing, again, that Los Angeles coach Ray Wilsey was saying. They drive all the way down the field, Los Angeles. A nice drive, get some points. The other team comes back in 3 plays and scores. You can't do that and expect to win the game.
Rusty Fricke, good snap, good hold, and a good kick. And that's something to keep in mind when we talk about snap, because you might have as many as 4 different players snapping that football before the night is over. We're all tied up at 7-7 with 8:56 to go in the first.
To be done, there's a Wells Lamont glove to do it.
Airport planes
please. I've got a 9 a.m. flight.
No problem.
Good.
What airline?
Alaska.
Alaska. First time Alaska?
Yes, it is. But airline never take off on time.
First time Alaska.
When Alaska Airlines says a flight will leave at 9 a.m., we do our best to make sure it does.
I tell you, they never leave on time.
So usually the only time you'll have to wait for a plane is when you miss one.
What's the world coming to?
ESPN takes you wherever the action is in May. To the ice, where hockey's hottest teams face off for the coveted Stanley Cup. To Paris, where the world's best players battle in the French Open. To the Indianapolis 500 time trials. To Churchill Downs on Derby Day for all the races leading up to the Run for the Roses. To Jack Nicklaus's hometown for the PGA Memorial. And to the 50-yard indoor war. Arena football. All in May on ESPN.
Los Angeles and Pittsburgh tied up at 7 apiece. The Gladiators opened the year with a 57-51 victory. Detroit in front of some 16,752. And then last week beat New England 82-26. Meanwhile, the Cobras have lost their first two. That's low off the post. That's a live ball. Fumble. And the Gladiators are signaling they have it. We'll wait for the officials to make it official, and they do.
And those are the kind of breaks that we have been talking about, Roger, that Pittsburgh just seems to get. Now, you make your own breaks, obviously, but watch this line drive kick, and it's going to hit off the metal standard of the net. Look at that thing bounce. Once it hits the ground, it's a live ball, and it comes way out into the field of play. And here come the Gladiators in to make the play. Los Angeles had a shot at it. Joe Kelly's on the ground. He can't wrap it up.
You know, Jim Rice isn't playing much for the Red Sox right now. He knows how to play the green monster and left. You know what I mean? That's what you need. There's Moran. He's from Akron. And the Gladiators have it. Hohensee goes right to work, and out of the backfield, he finds Craig Federico. And they say he stepped out of bounds at the 7-yard line. Federico is an outstanding athlete, 6'2", 205 pounds, played his college football at Illinois State. And Joe Herring says, without a doubt, he's the best player, he thinks, best athlete in arena ball.
This guy can play every position, he says, on the field, really. I mean, he could stay up front and block if he had to. Look at him tiptoe down the sidelines. He's strong enough to play a linebacker spot, quick enough to play in the secondary. He's got the great hands coming out of there. He's just a great all-around athlete. And to think that he was a walk-on in college, nobody thought that much of him.
Second down. Ball on the 7-yard line. Moran was in motion. Hohensee and overthrows Brian Moran. Once again, folks, these players play both ways. Moran is a running back and linebacker. And what Herring has done, he has assembled a group of athletes, primarily defensive players. He says it's easier to teach a defensive player offense than an offensive player defense.
And having been an offensive player, I know if I had to go down there now and play defensive back, toughest thing in the world for a receiver who's used to that straight-ahead motion. You know where you're going to go. To turn around and play defense and have no idea what that receiver's going to do is a frightening thought to me.
Third down and goal from the 7. Moran's the man in motion. Nearly picked off. Good defensive play over there. Far side, it was Joe Kelly out of Vanderbilt. Joe had that interception and return for a touchdown last week against the Chicago Bruisers.
And we mentioned it last week that Ray Wilsey said this young man really has been perhaps the surprise of the year so far for Los Angeles. How well he's come on. He's not very big, but he's quick and he's intelligent, and he plays the ball very well on the break.
A 4th and goal from the 7, and they're not going to opt for the field goal or the drop kick. They're going to go for it. This is a big defensive series right now for Los Angeles. Hohensee's got to scramble, and he can't do anything with it. 65 for the Cobras. Michael Jones, who stands 6'5". He weighs 230. He's from State University, New York, Rockport.
And he is nothing but muscle, and he just fights through this. Give a lot of credit to the secondary people for Los Angeles for covering long enough to force Hohensee out of the pocket. And there is Michael Jones. Hohensee getting down, trying to protect himself, but still he takes a pretty wicked shot.
We've seen 2 sacks so far tonight, and that's really an oddity in arena football. So, the Cobras with a good defensive series as they take over. 1st and 10 from their 11-yard line, and Beavers has checked into the game at quarterback. Rob DeVita got the handoff. And, hey, that's a safe thing to do. It's the first snap the kid has taken this season in regulation play, and it's good just let him get the ball and hand it to somebody else.
I'm almost surprised that they didn't have Weppy Powell in there, and because he, of course, is the most experienced ball carrier on this team. But DeVita's a good all-around athlete as well. We'll see Beavers put it up before this series over.
Gain of 1, 2nd and 9. Beavers, and it's deflected at the line of scrimmage. The man with his hand up was, well, I'll tell you, this is one of the great names in arena football, Fabre Collins.
Hey, there's some great names in this game between Weppy Powell and Fabre Collins out of Southern Illinois. And one of the reasons why Fabre, not very big at 6'2", 220, but one of the reasons he was able to get up and knock that ball down is that Eric Beavers is only 5'11". He's short. He's going to have to throw around and through these defensive linemen. He can't stand up there and throw over the top.
And Beavers, you say he's 5'11", he wears a size 8 shoe. Tiny feet.
Yes.
Beavers and the reception. Beautiful catch over on the far side. Richard Rogers was the man that hauled it in, and that's going to be enough for a first down.
Hey, that was more than a beautiful catch. That was just a terrific one-handed snare on the sidelines. In fact, I think it surprised Richard Rogers as much as it did everybody else on the football field. Here's Beavers dropping back now, looking to the sideline, seeing Rogers. Rogers just sticks his arm out there. It looks like an old Fred Bolitnikoff one-handed job. Of course, in those days, Fred used a lot of stick-em. No stick-em there.
Pitch back. DeVita. Nice job of running. DeVita across the 25, which is midfield, to the 22-yard line. DeVita is one of these guys, good size, played his college football at a little school called Illinois Benedictine. He's 6'2", 222. And there are so many of these kids, Steve, and you know from all the training camps you were with Seattle, the difference between a player coming out of college and making an NFL team and not. Very, very slight.
Very slim.
They're going to run it again, and no go that time. Up front for the Pittsburgh Gladiators, Kendall Walls, 6'3", 254 from Kentucky State. His brother Craig Walls also plays on this Pittsburgh Gladiator team. You take a look from the reverse angle.
Cut from the same bolt of cloth, these two brothers. Kendall a little bit bigger, going about 250 pounds. And he just knifes right through there. Again, the blocking up front for Los Angeles, perhaps not what it could be, and allowing these fine defensive players, the specialty-type players for Pittsburgh, to make the play.
3rd and 5 now for the Cobras with just 3:09 to go in the first quarter. Going up top to Kelly. Incomplete. Rob Miner out of Iowa State was the man on the coverage, and that'll bring up a 4th down situation for the Los Angeles Cobras.
And I'm not altogether sure. If I were a wide receiver or a coach, Ray Woolsey down there, I might complain to the official a little bit. Watch Miner. Face mask, just sticks his hands up in front of Kelly. He doesn't go for the ball. That's face masking in my book.
And the Los Angeles Cobras to attempt a field goal right here. 42-yard attempt. Ken Olsen, just misses. Now it's a live ball. And the football goes to the stands. Folks, you get to keep it in arena football.
Somebody's going to walk home with a nice little souvenir tonight.
Timeout on the field with 2:22 to go in the first quarter. We're tied at 7.
It's a TV, it's a remote control VCR, it's a stereo, all in one home entertainment package, and all yours for a limited time, just $19.95 a week at Color Time.
If you take car repairs into your own hands to save a little money, listen up. Right now, save up to $9.60 when you purchase a case of Napa oil, 2 Napa oil filters, and 2 Napa air filters. Clean up now with Napa.
Roger Twyble, Steve Rabel back with you at the Civic Arena in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where, boy, they're awfully excited about their Pittsburgh Pirates baseball team. And they're excited about the Gladiators as the crowd continues to come in here at the Civic Arena, all tied at 7 with 2:16 left to go in the first quarter, and the clock continues to run. Hohensee looking downfield. Just beyond the outstretched hands of Rob Miner. And that was the newcomer, Lou Green, back there defensively. Played at Cal State Northridge, and the Cobras are filled with a lot of players from that suburb of Los Angeles.
And it's obvious that Joe Herring, knowing that Lou Green just off the bus from Cal State Northridge, they're going to go right after him. And again, he's beaten by a couple of steps. He's able to make up a little bit of the ground. Happily for him, Hohensee overthrew that pass by just about a yard.
Kent Davis is split to the near side on 2nd and 10 and underneath. Ooh, and into the boards. And folks, you know that's got to hurt. Dan Burmeister, he's 6'2" and 210 pounds. He's from the University of North Carolina.
He's another one of those fine all-around athletes. This guy played for Dick Crum down there with the Tar Heels. But I guarantee you, the Tar Heels had nothing like this. Boom. Say hello to the wall, Dan.
Well, not only do you have to learn how to take the hit from the opposition, you got to learn how to take the hit from the boards right there. But Burmeister's a good one. He played in 3 bowl games while at the University of North Carolina. 3rd down. And it appears as though they got the first down. Stuart Mitchell is number 30, and he's an interesting young player. He's 6'3", 207 pounds. He was a quarterback at Cornell. And Joe Herring said, why did I get Stuart Mitchell? I didn't really need another quarterback, but he says, I went to Bucknell, and he says, I like to get those guys from those Ivy League kind of schools. You know, they make me smarter.
One thing about Mitchell, and that is he had some pretty good coaching there. Maxie Bong, great former All-Pro, coaching up there at Cornell, and has done just a great job in turning that program around.
But Herring said he's a good kid, and he's a smart kid, and we're going to find a spot for him. Lots of time for Hohensee. That's Mitchell, and he just overthrows him. Good rush put on that time. Number 60, Chuck Harris, who played collegiately not far from here at the University of West Virginia, put the pressure on Hohensee. And we have completed the first quarter of play from the Civic Arena in Pittsburgh. And the Cobras and the Gladiators are all tied up at 7 apiece.
This is where Michael Jordan kept practicing his jump shot when he didn't make varsity. This is where George Brett kept fielding after his team lost the state finals.
Wildcat ball.
And this is where Walter Payton played every game his freshman year as a drummer in the marching band. What do these legends have in common? They've always had a will to win. And they've always had a Wilson.
There's the head coach of the Los Angeles Cobras, Ray Wilsey, who was coaching with the Los Angeles Raiders this last year, but when Tom Flores was let go, then the assistants usually go too. And Ray has stayed in Los Angeles. Lou Erber, who was also on that staff, one of his assistants, says, we start the second quarter, and, you know, arena football, maybe last night's game, Detroit winning 29-24, the scores are coming down, and defense is starting to play more of a factor. As Hohensee tosses one up in the air, what a catch! Rob Miner made the reception as there was a lot of pressure on Hohensee, and now the officials are ruling an incomplete pass.
I suppose he didn't have control of it. Might be their call. We'll wait to see, but Miner probably the best offensive threat as far as this Pittsburgh team is concerned, along with Julius Dawkins, because he in fact was an offensive player over at Iowa State.
Boy, Herring was really getting after the side judge that time, and he's still drawing at him.
Yeah, Joe's pretty animated down there on the sidelines. He'll let you know what he's thinking.
3rd and 10. Good protection that time, and Julius Dawkins was the man who made the grab down at the 10-yard line. Mullen was back there defensively, but I'll tell you, Julius Dawkins had a great college career at the University of Pittsburgh.
Had a pretty fair quarterback throwing to him back there, a kid named Dan Marino. But watch Hohensee fire this ball right on the money, and a nice catch. Secure the catch. There you see he's down just barely. Mullen kind of tapped him on the helmet with his shoe top.
Dawkins says, I've grown to respect this game. He said, you know, I was a one-way player in college, and he says, having to do it both ways, he says, I respect this game.
He's also playing in front of a lot of hometown fans back here.
1st and 10, Hohensee, a penalty marker's down. Another penalty, 3 flags finally hit the artificial turf here at the Civic Arena in Pittsburgh. Dawkins was the intended receiver.
A game that has been relatively free of penalties tonight. But this time, I think almost every official, there's only 4 officials on the field, and 3 of them have the hankies out.
Only one other penalty called so far, that early Earl Sorgren, the referee. Former USFL officials, these arena. Well, we got a couple of calls.
The holding call against Los Angeles is going to be denied or declined, but the legal defense is going to stand. And no call by the official if the illegal defense was a zone coverage or perhaps an illegal blitz. All of those can be in this game illegal defense.
They have a tackle box, right?
Right.
Not the kind you take your fishing gear.
No, not hardly. Although some of these guys, if they make too many penalties, will be grabbing that tackle box and going out fishing because they'll have a lot of spare time. So if you're going to rush, you have to stay inside the box formed by the linebackers and those defensive linemen up front.
And only one of the linebackers can blitz.
Correct.
He's designated, and he has to come from within that area. Quick pass and a touchdown. Ernest Adams, 85. And Joe Herring was telling us about a touchdown pass last week that Adams had, but he says, I don't know how a man got so wide open on such a small field with so many players.
Well, you tend to forget about this guy. He's called a lot of different things in this game. The Y back, the tight end, the R back, the receiver. Basically, he's another lineman who is eligible. And Ernest Adams, all he's been doing up to this point is blocking. That time, he continued to block. Hohensee rolled to his right, looks back for the big 6'3", 240-pounder out of Illinois and finds him just as wide open as he was last week.
And Fricky will come on to attempt the point after from Lycoming College in Pennsylvania. Hohensee will hold it, and he's been good so far. I'll tell you, he got off to a terrible start his first game of the year. Last week he hit about 50%, and so far tonight he's 100% as the Gladiators have a 14-7 lead.
Sometimes the simplest ideas are the best ones. Introducing the Elite 50LX from Honda, the scooter that comes with a trunk. It'll hold dinner for 4 and a small orchestra. It's the perfect place for your helmet and jacket. In fact, there's so much room, you can take Frankenstein, King Kong, and Godzilla for a ride. The Honda Elite 50LX, the scooter that comes with a trunk.
Even using them in your left hand, these new wisp offset snips will give you twice the leverage of ordinary snips in your right hand. And because of their offset blade design, give you more control by actually pushing the metal out of your way. So more of your energy goes to work instead of going to waste. Wisp offset snips from Cooper Tools, the difference between work and workmanship.
Monday, a hurricane swings north in a clash of perennial college baseball powers. The top-ranked Miami Hurricanes take on the Maine Monday night at 8 Eastern, live on ESPN.
Let me show you some used cars and used trucks that we have on special sale here in Carlsbad. Here's a 1985 Ford Ranger pickup, $44.95, $89 a month. An 85 Dodge Colt by Mitsubishi, $39.95, $79 a month. An 87 Ford Ranger pickup, $59.95, $109 a month. An 86 Chevy Chevette, $34.95, $75 a month. An 84 Chevy Blazer, $69.95, $119 a month. We got a jillion of them. It's Giant Worthington Dodge in the Car Country Mall here in Carlsbad, open till midnight.
These are iron pills. Last year, a San Diego child died after eating her mother's iron tablets. Do you know what to do if your child is poisoned by a medication or household product? The Regional Poison Center at the UCSD Medical Center is available 24 hours a day to help in a poisoning emergency. When our family had a problem, the Poison Center was there for us. Remember this number. It could save a child's life.
Civic Arena in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, our third arena football game of this 1988 season. We'll be with you every week through the end of July when after the 12-game regular season there'll be 1 week of playoffs and then the championship game to conclude the second year of this rather different kind of football, but it's fun.
It really is. Fans have a good time. They get to sit down right close to the field?
As a matter of fact, so close that Joe Herring says, sometimes I bring some of my neighbors with me just to make sure that nobody says anything that they shouldn't.
Joe Herring wanders the sidelines as his team lines up for the kickoff. Again, the ball kicked off from the goal line. 50-yard field here in arena football.
That's going to be short of the nets, and Lou Green will return it. He fumbles the football. It's loose, and they have blown it dead. I got to tell you, Craig Federico came and laid a pretty big hit on Lou Green, and Green is not getting up in a hurry.
Walls was there on the spot to make the recovery. And again, that's an official's call. He's saying that the man was down before the ball popped out. The ground cannot cause a fumble. You have to be hit for that ball to be stripped away.
If any of you played football in high school or college, you know it takes a day or so when you're young to kind of get your legs back. Most of the guys that play arena football said just double that. Besides the hit you take, the artificial turf indoor and the boards, believe me, it takes a couple of days before you feel right. Stevens is back in at quarterback. He's got plenty of time. And there was some confusion. It looked like Mullen decided to alter his pass route, and Stevens had already committed to the outside.
The toughest route to run, I think, in arena football is that deep corner route, because you've got so little sideline to work with. That's why we're constantly seeing either the short out, the quick turnout routes, or those deep down the middle passes. You've got a lot of room. In that situation, Mullen kind of straightened it out downfield. Well, Stevens didn't have long enough to wait to see where he was going to come out, so he just fired the ball. It was almost intercepted by Dawkins.
Wade Lockett's been rather quiet so far tonight for the Los Angeles Cobras. Maybe not so quiet anymore. Oh, he just missed it. As Stevens went up top to Wade Lockett, he had him open, didn't quite get the football to him.
A long strider, this kid, as Stevens just lays it up. And they've gone after Dawkins now twice in a row. And again, when you've been playing offense as a wide receiver, Dawkins has been, you get a little bit tired. Now you turn and run two deep patterns downfield as a defensive back in a position you're not used to playing. That's how you create matchups, and that's how you score touchdowns.
And this is the thing that Ray Wilsey really wanted to avoid. They're behind 14-7 now. Now they've got to try to score quick, and that's just not the Cobra style on 3rd and 10. Mullen turns back. He comes up with the football. Almost a fine defensive play there by number 29 for the Pittsburgh Gladiators, Rock Richmond out of Oregon, who spent some time with the San Antonio Gunslingers in the USFL.
Here's Stevens from the end zone. And again, Mullen coming back to the ball. Actually, Richmond beat him to the ball, but he couldn't hang on to it. And there you see the gate fly open. We've had that a couple of times last week. Looks like they haven't been able to remedy that yet.
That's the old swinging gate play they used to run in basketball.
Sometimes it's the only chance for these guys to get off the field and get a break.
But it's a 1st and 10, and Weppy Powell fumbles. Still alive, and finally Stevens has to knock 28 Rob Minor out of bounds. Was that Opfar that came up with a fumble recovery?
I think it was Dave Opfar, big number 67. I think he's the one that scooped it up. He realized he wasn't going to go very far. This has been Weppy's problem. Of course, Brian Moran
got his head in there, didn't he?
Put his head right on the ball. There you see Opfar dive on the ball, wisely picking it up and pitching it back to Moran, or actually Minor, and making sure that Minor did not get in with Stevens. Did you see Herring down on the sideline? He's directing traffic.
Opfar, as we take a look at Herring, played at South Allegheny High, where the nickname of his high school team was the Gladiators. Now he's playing professionally. And Federico! Touchdown! I'll tell you what, Federico is what you term in football vernacular a stud.
Yeah, just take a look at him. I mean, he looks like a linebacker.
He looks like a player, doesn't he?
He just looks kind of mean.
Watch this.
Now, he knows what he's going to do with this ball. He's going to get it in the end zone. He's going to sail over everybody, have absolutely no regard for his body. That's a football player for you.
So once again, it's the turnovers that kill the Los Angeles Cobras.
Something that poor Ray Wilsey, as long as he coaches, that's something you just can't coach. Don't turn the ball over. It's going to happen to you.
Fricky missed one. Well, that isn't bad, folks. I'll tell you what, in arena football, if you can hit 2 out of 3 on the extra points, you're doing good. Now, let's take a look from the end zone at Federico. A little cocky, a little confident. He's in there for the TD. We'll be right back.
Yes, I'd like 2 of those pizzas.
Those pizzas? They'll be $17.99.
$17.99? But it says $10.99.
Not for those pizzas.
How can that be?
I think if you refer to the fine print.
Fine print?
Not vendor responsible.
May I help you?
Who are you?
I'd like to introduce our corporate attorney. He's here on a regular basis.
No, I'm not surprised.
At Little Caesars, you always get 2 great pizzas for 1 low price.
Pizza.
Only at Little Caesars.
Hello, everyone. This is Tim Brando, and coming up at halftime, along about 12 o'clock Eastern Time, I'll tell you who's at the pole position at the old Brickyard, and we'll bring you up to date on the Bruins and Devils. All of that coming up. Right now, back to Roger and Steve in Pittsburgh.
And we welcome you back to the Civic Arena in Pittsburgh, where the Gladiators now have scored a couple of times here in the first 5 minutes of the second quarter. They've taken a 20-7 lead. 10:03 left to go, first half. Along with Steve Rabel, I'm Roger Twibell, as the Gladiators and Rusty Fricky will kick it off, and it's another deep kickoff. Green takes it. I'll tell you what, he was looking to find the ground on that return. He wasn't looking for daylight.
He's been smacked a couple of times. He gets up a little bit anxious, saying, hey, guys, come on, give me a break. Maybe I better start swinging a little. Take a look at the guns on this guy. I mean, he's well put together. He's a tough, aggressive kid. But again, he hasn't played football for a while, and he's new to this Los Angeles Cobra team. It's going to take him a little time to get in sync.
He's going to know he played in the game tomorrow.
Oh, is he going to be sore?
It's going to be the hot bathtub, right? Stevens will come back at quarterback for the Los Angeles Cobras. They're down now 20-7, and their style is not the big play. Penalty markers down. The intended receiver was Richard Rogers. And the penalty is going to be on the Cobras, a holding call. Can you believe that?
When things start to go bad for you, they really go bad. And Wilsey, to his credit, I think, coming out looking for the short pattern. There you see Ray on the sideline. Bob Mishak, another former Raider coach, behind him. Not exactly sure what he's seeing either. Again, coming out, staying with that game plan of trying to move the ball down the field, just as 2 games do not a season make, and being 0-2 is certainly not going to kill the season for the Cobras. You can't get it all back right here. Stick to your game plan. It's early in the second quarter, but you can't afford costly penalties like that.
66, Wes Walton is the center. 65, Michael Jones, also the offensive line, and Stevens just trying to throw that in the general direction of Kelly as he was nailed back on the goal line. There's a penalty marker down. 54, one of the men in there, that was Craig Walls, and also number 32. And you see the personal foul there.
I think perhaps Stevens took a late shot over on that near sideline up against the wall as he released the ball.
Walls is the prototype Joe Herring player. He's 6'3", he's 215. He played his college football at Indiana. And see, the problem was he got the hand up in the face. If he had just gone ahead and tackled him, his motion carried him in, no problem. But when you start sticking the hand up in the face, they figure you're trying to hurt him.
Yeah, it's tough as a defensive player. They hate that rule, defensive linemen and linebackers do, because it's so tough when your momentum is carrying you forward. It's tough to pull off. However, you can pull that forearm down, and that was the cheap shot.
In exchange of penalties, Kelly in motion to the near side. Look out, Stevens, and he's got the sandwich put on him. And who got him? The man who was just called for the penalty, 54, Craig Walls. He was the first to hit him.
He had a little help from Pat Ogren coming from the other side, the biggest of the offensive linemen. And they're none of them very big for Pittsburgh, but there you see 68 at the bottom, 54 at the top, and they just sandwich young Mr. Stevens.
The problem has been 82, Lou Sorrentino. He's a newcomer to the Cobras this week. He's playing on the right side of the offensive line, and that's where Walls has been coming from. You can see the Gladiators leading in sacks. Stevens, and there's a mix-up right there. And Walls going to get into it just a little bit with Ed Seaman, who's in there. And you know if there's action on the field, Seaman's going to be close by.
Look for Ed. He's not very big, but he'll stick his nose in just about any fight. I think Matt Stevens a little bit rattled right now. He took a pretty good shot a minute ago, and he just wanted to get rid of that football. He did not wait to see where his receiver was even going to turn around. He just threw it, and it sailed up into the stands. Another souvenir for somebody up there.
Keep in mind, the Gladiators, a defensive-oriented team. Herring has built this team around defensive players. This is his second year in arena football as a coach. Ray Wilsey, on the other hand, maybe went for a few more offensive players his first year in arena football. Players and the coaches, they all learn. Kelly deep, and no call. Pass incomplete. Back defensively was Rob Minor, youngster from Iowa State.
So it's Vanderbilt going against Iowa State on that one, and Iowa State wins it. As you see Joe Kelly now heading over to the sidelines. Stevens just throwing it as far as he can and trying to let Kelly run under it. Kelly with good speed, but Minor right there. Ball sailing a little bit too far inside.
We've got a field goal attempt here now, folks.
Remember, you can't punt in this game, so even if you're backed up against your own end zone, you try a field goal.
59 yards. And that'll be returned. And dragged down from behind was Rock Richmond, number 29. As they bring it out to the 15-yard line. The Pittsburgh Gladiators with 6:40 to go in the half lead Los Angeles 20-7.
See the look on his face. He's going to be so excited. It's a feeling. You keep calling me home. Chicago.
Hey, man, take a look at this.
Calling me home. Chicago is calling me home. We just missed you, Dad.
Bo Jackson, Thomas Hearns, and superstars from every sport but basketball become super shots in the Foot Locker Slam Fest. Tuesday night at 9 Eastern on ESPN.
And welcome back to Pittsburgh. Mike Hohensee, the Gladiators quarterback, 7 of 15, 79 yards, 2 touchdowns, and he's been a very efficient passer so far this year. He's hit on 66% of his passes. He's thrown 13 touchdowns, and he hasn't had any interceptions so far as Minor goes in motion. Hohensee going downfield deep, and the intended receiver was Stuart Mitchell. The man who can play quarterback. He can play wide receiver. He can play defensive back. Herring really likes to have versatile type of football players. He likes guys in that 6'2" to 6'3" range that weigh about 200 to 220.
Remember, too, that the quarterback and the kicker and the defensive specialist, the only ones who will come out series after series. Quarterback does not have to go both ways. So, again, your defensive people are the ones who are instinctively, I guess, the best football players. You can teach them then to play offense.
And once again, Mitchell went to Cornell, so he should be able to pick up football plays. Pass intended for Minor, and it's incomplete. Also, folks, if you're wondering why Los Angeles was attempting such a long field goal and why weren't they punting, there is no punting in arena football.
All right, you can't punt, so you try the long field goal. You know that the other team is going to return it just like a punt. And so, again, these guys who have been offensive players for that entire series now have to try to run downfield and cover. Had that kick actually gone in between the uprights, it would have been a 3-point field goal, but it wasn't even close.
3rd down and 10 now for the Gladiators. And I'll tell you what, Hohensee didn't have much time to think about it as 55, Brian Clark, another one of those players from Cal State Northridge, came in there to make the sack.
Now, sometimes this is going to happen to those undersized linemen that are playing for Pittsburgh, and that is a guy the size of Brian Clark, 255 pounds, is going to get around a Fabre Collins who's only 215, 220, and Clark just simply running right by, running over the blocker.
We're going to have a 60-yard field goal attempt here now, folks.
Good luck.
We've got a 60-yard field goal attempt, and I got to tell you what, the odds on this, look at that opening. Rusty Fricky. Not nearly enough leg. And Lockett, 2 yards deep. He's got plenty of room to return it. And he was looking for the ground in a hurry as he's across the 15 to the 17.
And did you see who was down there to make the play? Number 3, Rusty Fricky, the kicker, is the guy down there.
Pittsburgh leads it 20 to 7.
Come on now.
At American Airlines, we do this over 2,000 times a day. And of the 9 largest domestic airlines, we do it on time more times. American Airlines, the on-time machine.
4:09 left to go in the first half, and remember, the final minute of the first half, the final minute of the game, the clock will stop on incompleted passes and out of bounds. So keep that in mind, because a lot of things can happen in that time span.
Keep in mind, too, that Los Angeles has been in this situation before. Last week, they were able to put some points on the board early, but then things just sort of fell apart for them, and they have yet to get on the board here in the second quarter.
McKnight to the near side along with Mullen. And there was a mix-up and an interception right there. Rock Richmond, but there's a penalty marker down. A penalty marker's down back at the midfield area.
Yeah, I think there was more than a mix-up. I think perhaps Richmond actually pushed the intended receiver down and then was able to just pull off and make the play, make the interception, because he was the only one left standing over there. And there's the interference call by Earl Sorgan, the official. So Los Angeles will retain possession of it. I'm a little bit surprised, actually. You know, Wilsey told us this morning that we would see Beavers early in the game. We saw Beavers early in the game. Here you see Stevens pass downfield after his receiver got knocked down, and there's Rock Richmond for the interception. We saw Beavers. He's come out. I didn't think he did all that badly while he was in there. He really didn't have much of an opportunity.
Well, I think Wilsey's plan was, excuse me, to get him in for a couple of plays early in the game, and then possibly in the second half then to bring him back in. 1st and 10. Ball's at the 20-yard line of the Los Angeles Cobras. Lockett, who's been awfully quiet tonight, is split to the near side. Mullen at the top of your screen. Stevens going to Lockett, and he drops it. Well, I'll tell you, Stevens put it right on the money. 29, Rock Richmond was the defender, and there's a penalty marker down at the line of scrimmage.
So just like that, we have almost a penalty-free first quarter. Here in the second quarter, we've seen the Hankies fly, and this one is going to go against Los Angeles. So a little tit for tat on the penalty side of things. One of the things, too, that Los Angeles is being forced to do, Rogers, they've got to keep their wing back, McKnight, in to block quite often tonight to help out the new players that are in there playing for Los Angeles and guys trying to block these extra quick rushers.
Unlike the NFL, they don't expose the offensive lineman or the person who's called for holding. That's nice, isn't it?
That'd be worth coming back and playing for that one.
Stevens. Lockett finally has one. And into the Pittsburgh bench. Well, I'll tell you what, it doesn't take long for tempers to flare as a flag is thrown when you start slamming people into the boards. The boards brings a whole other aspect into this game, as it does in hockey.
I was going to say, I guess I have a new respect for hockey players. I suppose it is easy to lose your temper when somebody nails you up against these walls, these boards here, padded as they are. Still, you know as a receiver you're out of bounds. They're kind of grabbing a hold of each other now.
Kent Davis was 22, and Davis, after he slammed him into the board, had a hold of his jersey and kind of pushed him back away.
Now, the penalty is going to go against Los Angeles because it was Lockett who actually took the swing. He swung at the Pittsburgh player. I don't know, call it both ways. But you also, as Wilsey's saying down there, you got to keep your cool. You can't let these kind of things happen to you. That's a big, big penalty. Again, pushing Los Angeles back against its own end zone.
2:50 left to go in the first half. Pittsburgh with a 20-7 lead, and Los Angeles just can't get anything going.
How many yards?
The Cobras lost in the first week 60-52 at home against New York, and last week lost 46-35 against Chicago. So their offensive productivity has been decreasing each week, and that's not a good sign.
Now we've got the officials out here chatting about something. I think they've got it cleared up now. They're ready to play football, and Matt Stevens is checking the plays are on a wristband on his left arm, and he knows what to do in a 3rd and long situation, 2nd and long. This is 1st and forever.
But at least it's 1st.
That's true.
1st and 23 to be exact. Stevens will move up. He'll go deep. Mullins, the intended receiver, he comes back for it. And, hey, as quick as you can say Matt Stevens to Gary Mullen, you got a touchdown.
And Matt's not even going to spike it. He's just going to set it down, or Gary, that is, and come back and be congratulated by his teammates. And just like that, you can come back.
And that's the beauty of arena football.
Here's Stevens from the ground level shot as he steps up in the pocket. Good footwork by the young man, and a nice throw brings his receiver back. That time the defender absolutely lost the play.
You know, the defender is really at a disadvantage on this smaller field going deep. Because you've got the nets there where you can also throw the ball off the net.
Now, you've got a lot of things you have to watch out for as a defensive back.
Olsen has the attempt blocked. And a penalty marker is down. 27 came busting through. That was Dan Burmeister, who was one of the players in there. They were in a hurry. And it's going to be against the Pittsburgh Gladiators. Now, folks, it's, of course, 1 point for the conventional point after touchdown. If you would like to drop kick it, it's 2. If you would like to run it in or pass it in, it's 2 points.
And let's stretch out a little further. If you hit on a field goal, a normal field goal, that's 3 points. If you drop kick the field goal from out in the field, that's 4 points. So just to keep you up to date here.
The end zone is 8 yards long, not the conventional 10. And they'll put this down at the 10-yard line. And that misses. It is not an easy thing to be a place kicker in arena football. But I'll tell you what, as we take a look at Stevens down the reverse angle,
he's back at his own 5-yard line. He's going to throw this thing just about the length of the field. How many quarterbacks can say that he threw it the length of the field? Catch it on the 4 is Mullen. He lost the defender, turns, gets into the end zone for 6. That was Kent Davis, who was turned completely around, just lost the ball.
And for Mullen, that's his 4th touchdown reception of the season. And it's 2013 with 2:22 to go in the first half. I was going to mention that after arena football, a lot of these place kickers going back, if they do have an opportunity to, say, play in the National Football League, it's got to seem like the easiest kick in the world.
Oh, it's got to seem like you're kicking into a cavern somewhere of the Grand Canyon, right?
That's a high kick, and that goes through the end zone underneath the netting, which covers the end zone area, so it will be brought out to the 5-yard line where Pittsburgh Gladiators will put it in play with 2:18.
There you see Joe Herring on his sidelines. One of the things that his opposition, his formidable foe in Ray Wilsey, told us this morning, that when you have to gauge replacements and substitutions in a game like this, if you're behind, you hope that you have an opportunity for substitution with guys who are fresh on defense.
Brendan Fulmar, number 7, is checked in at quarterback now. He's from California University in Pennsylvania.
And the reason that Fulmar is in there is that Mike Hohensee hurt his right shoulder. He is out for the remainder of the half and may be questionable for the second half. So we'll keep you up to date on Gladiator quarterback Mike Hohensee, who's been having a great night tonight, but he's injured now and on the sideline.
Fulmar coming into this game and completed 8 of 16 for 68 yards and 3 touchdowns. And there is Hohensee over on the sideline. Gee, he's got that same problem we've got, Steve.
Yeah, the hairdo. For a minute I thought you meant shoulder, but my shoulder's fine. And as soon as I saw him, I knew what you were talking about. Well, it happens to all of us who wear helmets.
Robert Miner was the man in motion. Fulmar coming near side, and The intended receiver was Julius Dawkins, and he got tangled up with Lockett. You know, one thing about a wide receiver now being turned into a defensive back, you've got to know patterns, and you can look at a man, and you know from making all those moves yourself, it's got to be a little advantage.
Yeah, but you got to still physically be able to do it,
Well,
and that's the tough part.
Pittsburgh leads 20-13, 1 minute left in the half.
The word is spreading across America. Free Coke. Honest. Yes, you can get a free 6-pack of Coke when you buy 2 Hastings air or oil filters at participating auto parts stores and participating service centers. Plus, enter free to win a special edition 1988 Olympic Jeep Wrangler. So come get your Hastings filter.
The best there is.
And get your free 6-pack of Coke today.
Roger Twyville, Steve Rabel back with you in Pittsburgh. There's 1 minute left to go in the half, and that means that the clock will stop on incomplete passes and plays that are out of bounds. Of course, the teams do have their timeouts. And Brendan Fulmar, young man from California University in Pennsylvania, 6 feet, 190 pounds. He was with the Gladiators last year. So this is another strong position for the Pittsburgh team.
He knows exactly what Joe Herring, his coach, wants on offense, and he'll continue to direct the team for a while.
Moran was the man in motion. And Fulmar back across the grain. That was Moran, 31. 5'11", 190 pounds from Akron University, the intended receiver. What sort of patterns do we see run here, Steve, most of the time?
Well, we're seeing basically underneath crossing routes with guys going deeper behind them. If the quarterback reads, this time you see Fulmer looking to that underneath route, that crossing route, man-to-man. The quarterback looks deep and sees that man open, he'll go there. Layer-type routes, individual one-on-one routes.
Matt McKnight was the man on the coverage on that last play. 54 seconds left to go. 3rd down and 10. Fulmar's got some time, took a big hit. Dawkins is there, touchdown. Lockett was the man beaten, and Fulmar took a big-time hit just as he let go of the football, but he found Dawkins in the end zone. So Brendan Fulmar, who comes off the bench, throws his 4th touchdown pass of the year.
And this really is a scary hit for a quarterback. You can't see it coming. He gets hit right in the back, but he stands in there strong. And Dawkins, you didn't see it on that replay, but Julius Dawkins turned one way and then the other to find that ball on the reception, and that's just a great catch.
Tony Palomera, number 80, was the man who laid the lick on Fulmar. And so the Gladiators have added a score here in the closing seconds of the first half, as Fulmar now is going to have to hold for Fricky, and he got it. I'll tell you what, he's 3 out of 4. You know, Herring basically told him, he said, kid, unless you get it together, he said, I really like you as a person, but he says, you're out of here. That was after the first game. He hit 50% last week, and I guess he's going to be all right this week.
He went 1 for 8 that first week, and that's how you get a road map and an apple back home, I'll tell you.
Oh, man who's been to a few training camps. I bet you got some good stories about the Turk, don't you?
I bet I do. I bet I can't tell most of them. Training camp is the toughest thing in the world, and we were all down there in training camp in Orlando, Florida, Daytona Beach, and it sounds like vacation spot, right? These guys were out there in that sun and in that heat, a couple of sessions a day. They had never been inside the arena playing until the exhibition games.
Now, the Seahawks train in the most remote place probably of any NFL team, don't they?
We used to. When I was playing, we trained in a place called Cheney, Washington. That's where Eastern Washington University is, and that's a long way from nowhere.
You couldn't get in trouble out there if you wanted to.
No, and I tried.
Off the net, McKnight loses it. They're going to have to fall on it. Well, that time, Lockett lost the ball. McKnight fumbled it, and once again, the Cobras just not getting the right bounce. But let's put it this way, the Gladiators being more aggressive in making these breaks. Take a look at it here off the net.
Comes down, McKnight bounces off of Lockett's foot. Now McKnight kicks it. They don't know where it is. It's I got it, no, you got it. And that's the smartest thing that Matt McKnight did, and that is just dive on the ball and protect it.
Now 47 seconds left to go. First half, 27-13. Gladiators lead the Cobras. And Stevens is back out there with Mullen split wide to the near side. And that was a good job by Mullen, the offensive player, to break up that play because Rock Richmond had the coverage and the ball was overthrown.
As a receiver, you're taught there are times when you're going to have to turn into a defensive back. If the ball is underthrown or overthrown, and you see that your defender, in this case Rock Richmond, Defensive Player of the Week last week, incidentally, with a couple of interceptions and 9 tackles. In fact, he leads the Arena Football League with 16 tackles overall. You have to turn into a defensive player. And there you see Mullen just tipping it away because Richmond had the position on that pass.
2nd and 10. Quick out to Mullen. And a timeout is used by the Los Angeles Cobras. So a timeout called with 34 seconds left to go in the half. Once again, the final minute of the first half, final minute of the game. The clock is stopped on out of bounds and interceptions. And I'd like to remind you that Steve and I will be with you next Saturday night, May 21st, from the Providence Civic Center in Providence, Rhode Island. The New York Knights will take on the New England Steamrollers. And, of course, Jim Krochickia leads the New York Knights. They beat this Los Angeles Cobras team their first game of the year. And there's a good look at Jim Krochickia, who so far on the season has thrown for 12 touchdown passes and just 3 receptions as Ray Wilsey talks with his quarterback. And that's Lou Erber, pretty good offensive mind himself.
Some good coaches in this league, experienced coaches. A lot of these guys have coached in just about every conceivable position. Herring has been USFL, Arena Football, NFL, college, and that's the position that a lot of these guys are in. And it's a real challenge for these guys. There you see Joe pacing the sideline.
I just saw Brendan Fulmar signing autographs. When's the last time you saw a football player during a game signing autographs? Well, he's, their bench is literally in the stands.
Sure, things are a little more loose in this game. Let's remember that. It's a little more fun.
3rd down and 2. McKnight makes the reception out of bounds, and it's a 1st down. The clock stops with 29 seconds.
The advantage a guy like Matt McKnight has over many of the defenders is that he's taller. Matt runs about 6'3", and as Joe Herring was telling us this morning, when the field is narrow as it is, it's only 85 feet wide, the way you increase your passing lanes is to throw it up in the air. You then increase the height according to the height of your receivers, and that's why Matt McKnight and Lockett as well, Wade Lockett, 2 tall, slender types.
If you're with us last week, you remember the Cobras were really controlling the first half against the Bruisers, and Chicago scored late in the final minute and got back into it. Maybe things will reverse themselves. LA really needs to score here. 25 seconds left to go in the half. 27-13. And a touchdown right here would really give them some good momentum going into the second half as you take a look at Matt Stevens.
Well, Matt's doing a good job in controlling the clock. His receivers are being smart. Step out of bounds and stop that clock, not waste a timeout. They've been moving the ball pretty consistently. The thing, of course, that Matt is saying in the huddle, aside from giving his teammates the play, and that is, let's not have a silly penalty right now. We don't need a holding call. We don't need any cheap call against us. We have to sustain this play.
2nd down and 2, ball right at midfield on the 25-yard line as Stevens looking deep. Oh, what a great catch by Mullen and a touchdown. What a great catch by Gary Mullen. Rock Richmond was the man in front. Rob Miner was the man behind, and Richmond really never saw the football. Mullen got his sights on it, and actually it might have helped Mullen that Richmond was there to kind of brace himself. Look at it.
Stevens, as soon as he threw this ball, I said, no way he should throw that. His man is double covered, but look at Mullen go up over the top and squeeze that ball. He's the only one, as you said, Roger, he's the only one that saw the pass. Take a look at it from another angle right here. Mullen is all hands and arms as he goes up over the defender, a guy on each side of him. His 2nd touchdown reception of the night.
And 5th of the season. As Olsen attempts a point after, and it's no good. So Olsen having his problems tonight. He's been missing to the right-hand side, and it's 27-19, which is an 8-point lead now for the Pittsburgh Gladiators. I kind of thought maybe they'd go for 2 that time.
Well, you have an offense that has controlled the ball pretty well here in the late stages. You thought they might go for it, but again, you've got a straight-ahead kicker who has shown that he can kick the ball through. It's just he's having some problems tonight, and that's the tough thing about this game.
Folks, not only do you play two-way football, but remember special teams. I mean, football is such a specialized sport. As Mike Hohensee, the starting quarterback, with a bruised shoulder, may not return even in the second half. But you play offense, you play defense, and then you go out and you play the special teams too, which nobody likes to play.
Right. Everybody but the quarterbacks, as we said. We're looking at Hohensee.
There are a few individuals that like special teams, and you can tell by the look in their eye who they are.
My guess is a guy like Ed Seaman, for instance, is one who likes special teams.
Well, that's a good kick right there. High, and no chance of a return. So that football will be brought out to the 5-yard line. 19 seconds remain, and that's plenty of time for the Pittsburgh Gladiators to move it down the field and score.
It is plenty of time, but I think if I were Joe Herring, I'd tell Fulmar to go out there on the field and just kind of run this clock out now. With 19 seconds left, we don't want to get into any serious problems.
You're a conservative kind of guy.
Well, sure I am. Yeah, you were an offensive lineman, so you want to go down and up and down the field all you want. I'm a receiver. I say we need a rest. Let's take it easy here.
Let's see what they do. Miner was the man in motion. Fumble. And LA's going to get it.
Is LA going to get it, or is Pittsburgh going to get it? I think.
Well, now they've signaled second down. So now the clock's running, and finally LA realizes the clock's running. And the time runs out. Well, that was an interesting scenario there, as number 67 for the Pittsburgh Gladiators, David Opfar, and the quarterback, Brendan Fulmar, having a few words. Obviously, Fulmar, having not taken as many snaps, had a little trouble with the exchange. As we take a look at Fulmar getting nailed right there, and then Dawkins really did a good job there, Steve, to turn the other way.
How many times have I seen a former teammate of mine, Steve Largent, do that, to turn over one shoulder and then the other? Now we come back the other way. Stevens now throwing into coverage. Two guys back there, but Mullen over the top, making the catch between two defenders.
And we're at halftime at the Civic Arena. 7 Los Angeles Cobras 19. Los Angeles Cobras 19, and the Cobras will kick it off. One interesting stat from the first half was the fact that 6 different Pittsburgh players caught passes, while Mullen was the main man for the Cobras with 8 receptions, just 3 LA Cobra players, as Richmond brings it across the 10 to the 12-yard line, where Matt McKnight makes the tackle. And we'll take a look at the statistics. 11 of 20 for LA, 3 touchdown passes. Pittsburgh 9 of 21 for 346 yards, 30 more for LA. Penalty yards 5 of 28, 3 of 13. And you can see the field goals and turnovers there. Los Angeles 1 and Pittsburgh nothing, as Brendan Fulmar comes out to start the second half at quarterback, as Mike Hohensee is over on the bench wearing a baseball cap. So Steve, doesn't appear that he'll be coming back in.
And I think that Pittsburgh coach Joe Herring has a lot of faith in Fulmar, so we'll probably see him the rest of the game.
Boy, what a beautiful route, and the reception and the touchdown for Pittsburgh by Brian Moran. Spike it.
And Moran got by Lockett, and Lockett knew it almost immediately. It was a great route by Moran, who was a free safety in college at the University of Akron. He replaced a pretty good wide receiver himself in Brad Callip, who's out with an injury. But take a look at the pass from Fulmar. Nice over-the-shoulder grab by Moran, as he was 2 steps beyond the secondary. A 37-yard touchdown strike from Fulmar to Moran.
And his second touchdown reception of the season. As you take a look at it again on the sideline route, and the man was Lockett, who in fact is more of a wide receiver than he is a defensive player.
And he just got caught that time, and you can't give up the easy scores like that. Ray Willsie's probably pulling his hair out down there on the sideline, because again, coming right out first play of the second half to give up a long touchdown pass is just so tough to come back from.
Point after is good. Well, I'll tell you, Rusty Fricke's going to be a popular guy with Joe Herring. And Ray Willsie can't believe it. The first play of the second half from scrimmage, and his team trails 34-19. Pittsburgh Gladiators with the lead over the Los Angeles Cobras. Strike quick, you strike fast in arena football. This is a 50-yard field, folks, and it doesn't take long, and it's not a good sign for the Los Angeles Cobras as they scored right before
that touchdown.
Yeah, I was going to half.
Yeah, I was going to say Los Angeles is doing a pretty good job playing defense, and they turn right around and give up a score on the first offensive play.
Now that gets caught up in the net. What in the world was that? And it's a touchdown.
Well, first it was a bad decision by Matt McKnight, who was going to try to run it out and try to make something happen. Then he tried to pitch it. That was the second bad decision. I think he got confused when it hit up in there in the net. He should have just grabbed it and taken one knee. Here it comes into the net. Actually, it looks like a long field goal, doesn't it? It hits the crossbar, bounces up into the net. Now it's going to drop down. Now, right there, McKnight should get on the ground. Take a knee. It's not a live ball. It hasn't hit the ground. Now he tries to pitch it out to somebody, and that's really the wrong thing to do.
Well, we've got an official ruling right now, and the ball has been brought out.
Now they're going to say he was interfered with on the reception, I guess, and he did not get the 5 yards.
5 yards.
Well, that's why those guys are paid to be officials, and the rest of us sit up here and criticize their calls because they see things that sometimes we don't see.
Let's take a look now. He's got the football.
He's 8 yards deep. Boy, he sure looked like he had 5 yards, didn't it? Unless it's 5 yards from the... Well, he's explaining it down there now as the official.
Well, whatever it is, it's a break for the Los Angeles Cobras.
Boy, it sure
Joe
is.
Herring exhorting his team on. I mean, McKnight, you got to feel bad for the kid. First, the ball gets tangled up in the loose netting. He's got to wait for it to come down. He doesn't know how close the guys are. And he just lost it momentarily. Stevens goes deep to Mullen. Now, that should be a penalty.
It should be, and I don't see a flag on the ground. That should be a face mask call. If you're playing, all rules being equal, this defensive back never looks back. Now watch, here comes the ball. That is a face mask penalty, and there are 2 officials standing there looking at that. If this game is in L.A., there's a lot of angry fans right now.
Well, maybe we can get an official to explain that to us. As Stevens steps back and pass is incomplete, intended for Wade Lockett. There's Mike Hohensee on the sideline.
See, he's got the shoulder pads.
It's his
off.
right shoulder.
Yeah, it looks like he's got the shoulder pads off and maybe a ice bag or something up on the top side of his right shoulder. All right.
Let's explain the kickoff situation. You have to be outside of the 5-yard line when the man receives the ball, when he finally catches it.
Right. If he's in the end zone, you have to give him 5 yards outside that end zone, so on the 5-yard line.
So the call was correct by the officials as the Cobras are now faced with a 3rd and 10 from their own 1-yard line. Stevens, and it's intercepted. Intercepted by Rock Richmond, and Lockett pulls him down at the 10. Stevens knew he was in trouble, knew he had to do something with it, but all things considered, facing a possible 4th and 1, or 4th and 10 from the 1-yard line, maybe he did the right thing.
Sure, you're looking at a long interception or a field goal attempt, which would be just as good as a punt. There is the pass downfield, and Richmond leaps high to make that interception. Fine defensive specialist, his 3rd pickoff this year.
And we'll return to Pittsburgh with the Gladiators leading 34-19.
Don't I get to...
Let's take a look at the kickoff again, and the call. McKnight's going to catch it off the loose netting. And see the man on both sides within the 5-yard line.
Exactly. They have to be 5-yard line or beyond when that man is in the end zone trying to retrieve that kick off the nets. So a good call by the officials, one that as fast as the game is going from up here, it's very, very difficult to see that call from our position.
We're told Hohensee will miss the remainder of the game unless Fulmar gets hurt, and a penalty flag is down and offside. So unless Brendan Fulmar gets hurt, Mike Hohensee will not be back this evening, so we'll see how the backup quarterback for the Gladiators makes out as the penalty is called against Pittsburgh.
Yeah, little procedure call there. Wes Walton noticed, number 66 in white, noticed that across the line from him, Pittsburgh lineman shifted a little bit after he got in his stance. That's illegal.
See the turnovers plaguing the Los Angeles Cobras once again this week, and those turnovers have led directly to touchdowns.
And let's make the point too that Ray Wilsey said he's got nothing but respect for his players. They've worked very hard. They haven't given up. They just give up big plays.
And now a penalty flag down on the far sideline.
You can only bump one time inside 5 yards as a defensive back. Just keep that in mind. Holding call against Los Angeles.
So a couple of quick penalties as Ray Wilsey looks on. Now the clock will stop on the penalty calls, but other than that, it doesn't stop until the final minute of the first half, final minute of the game.
And now, of course, the official blows the whistle and winds the clock again, and it continues to run even before the snap of the ball now, but it will stop as they mark off the penalty.
Miner is the man in motion to the far side, and you can break toward the line of scrimmage before the ball snap. I'll tell you, that's a tough player right there. Brian Moran, as he gets very close to the first down. You know, Joe Herring feels that there is a closeness between player and coach, and he feels that there's a certain type, I guess it's a Joe Herring type of player, but a lot of these guys were hoping that they would play for Joe. In the camp down in Florida, it was basically a lot of players there, and everybody got a look, and then they had a draft. Is that correct?
Right. And Joe knew exactly who he wanted. He protected certain players that he had here last year. We've talked about it before, because he knows the kind of guy that's going to give him what he wants out there on this football field, and that's going all out all the time.
Fulmar near side. Dawkins, the intended receiver. And that'll bring up a third down at short yardage. Well, Herring's a very emotional, he's a very excitable, and at times a very outspoken coach. But he certainly has great feeling and concern for his players, and a lot of these players have been with him from the days when he was in the USFL. He coached with the Pittsburgh Maulers here. He's also coached the Denver Gold. He's with Mouse Davis. And a lot of players have come right through the ranks with him.
And I think Craig Walls has followed him around about 3 or 4 different stops now, and he just can't say enough good things about Craig Walls. He really, really likes that young man.
Will it be a rare running attempt? And it's a fumble, and the Cobras have got it. Well, I'll tell you what, Los Angeles hasn't gotten many breaks, and that's one of them, but that's one thing that the Pittsburgh Gladiators did not do much of, and Craig Federico fumbled, and
Louis Sorrentino
made the recovery.
New to the Cobras, just picked up. He was on waivers from New York out of Cal State Sacramento.
The only rushing attempt in the first half was a touchdown run by Federico. That's just the second. So that's something they don't work on very much. Obviously, they don't do that well. So a break now for the Cobras and Matt Stevens. And he nearly gives it back.
Oh, Matt. If you're in trouble like that, you got 4 downs, pal. Don't throw it back into the field of play. Throw it out of bounds, put it on the ground, but don't throw it back into the middle of everybody. He's trying to make something out of something that's not there. The only guy that's even close is Brian Moran. Now taking a look across the field, Dave Opvar is limping off the field, and he's one of those big offensive linemen, a young man out of Penn State, one of the few big guys that Joe Herring has on his squad.
And that's a left knee as he limps off. So Opvar, who has played a major role for this Pittsburgh Gladiators team.
And let's remember, there are only 18 guys on the squad, so somebody's got to pick up the slack, somebody who's already tired.
Quick toss, Lockett inside the 15, down to the 14-yard line, where Rob Miner will make the tackle.
Lockett is looking back to his quarterback saying, get that ball up. Give me a chance to run with it. If you'll just keep it up in the air, I won't have to slide down on the ground for it. Consequently, he didn't have enough time to get off the ground and make a move with it.
Pittsburgh had some injury problems last week. Califf is not playing. Of course, he's one of their key men. And also Scott Dimitrenko, 6'2", 235, really one of their outstanding players. Both of those guys out. So they were at less than 100% coming into this game, and now they've lost Hohensee and Opvar. 3rd and 4. Stevens scrambling. Stevens still looking. Crossfield. And get lucky. That's just simply get lucky right there. Wade Lockett with the touchdown reception. And all Stevens was hoping for, he just threw it up. He had 2 receivers over there, and maybe one of them would get it.
Check your other pocket, Wade. Sometimes it pays to get lucky because Los Angeles, even bad luck would be better than what they've had the last couple of weeks. All right, let's keep our eye on number 92. Could there be a little offensive interference right there?
Rabel, you never did that, did you?
Never. I never had an opportunity to catch a pass like that. That's why I never did it. Wade, congratulations. 13-yard touchdown, pal, and the officials didn't see it, so more power to you.
So the Cobras, after the turnover by the Pittsburgh Gladiators, with the touchdown pass from Stevens to Lockett, and the Cobras will go for a 2-point conversion here. Trailing by 9. McKnight in motion. And players get tangled up in the end zone. Mullen and Lockett were trying to run a crossing pattern, and the defender, Rob Miner, got caught in the middle of them.
Stevens comes off.
They're going to run a little screen here, Steve?
They're going to run a little pick play is what they're doing. And Lockett is going to be coming across. But first, let's go back to the touchdown. There's Lockett skying for that ball. Bobbled it a bit, but came down with it. .25, and Steve, it's always interesting that at the end of the game you add up the point afters that are missed, and especially a high-scoring game like this, you could be talking about 8, 9, 10 points. That will make a difference before this game's over.
Miner will take it from the end of the end zone across the 10 and across the 15 to the 16-yard line. That was a 13-yard touchdown pass for Matt Stevens to Wade Lockett.
And again, after the Federico fumble, so Los Angeles in the right place at the right time for a change. Seems like they're the ones who've been victimized by the turnovers this year.
And the Cobras have got themselves back in this thing. But this Pittsburgh Gladiator team is going to be really hurt by David Opfar, leaving the field now limping on that left knee. Former Penn State player who played in the United States Football League. Dawkins, the catch and the touchdown, and the man beaten back there was Richard Rogers. And I'll tell you what, Brendan Fulmar doesn't take him long to get things heated up. The first play from scrimmage of the second half, touchdown pass. Then they had the series where they fumbled. Now the first play here and touchdown.
It's the very thing that Ray Wilsey was talking about this morning, that his team would drive downfield for a score and turn right around and give up an easy score as this one. Fulmar just dropping back. And nothing to it, really. I mean, Julius Dawkins grabs the pass on a slant, and Rogers can't stay with him. Touchdown.
So Dawkins, the leading receiver for the Pittsburgh Gladiators, with his second touchdown pass of the night and his 6th on the year. And Fricky with the point after. I'll tell you what, this guy's in the zone right now. Folks, you can't believe how tough that is.
And how happy he is to be making those kicks.
It's 41-25. A 16-point lead now for the Pittsburgh Gladiators, who last week, folks, scored 82 points. That eclipsed the record of 73 from a year ago. And they also scored the most touchdowns ever in one game. That's 12.
There's Fulmer's rocket shot to Julius Dawkins, and he just takes it in stride into the end zone. 4 catches, over 100 yards, and he dances well, too, doesn't he? Nice job there, Julius.
Well, if he ever gets out of football, he can become a Chippendales, right?
You know, I thought about doing that.
Right.
Well, maybe not.
Fricky will kick it off, and he tied a league record last week with the most point after attempts, 11.
Oh, when you score that many touchdowns, you're going to be a busy guy.
Here's a strong kick. And that time, Pittsburgh made sure they were not inside the 5-yard line. And the ball will be brought out to the 5 for the Los Angeles Cobras. Let's take a look at it from the end zone.
Now remember, a little earlier, they tried to run this ball out. Now once the ball bounces, it's a free ball. So anybody can get that and recover it. In this case, Richard Rogers recovers it for Los Angeles, covers it up, and it comes out to the 5-yard line, just a simple touchback.
Matt Stevens with his team down by 16. And to the 10-yard line and a 5-yard pickup. That's Joe Kelly.
Haven't heard too much from Joe tonight. As a matter of fact, we haven't heard much from anybody offensively as far as the Cobras are concerned, with the exception of Gary Mullen and a couple of times Wade Lockett. Going to have to spread that ball around a little bit and continue to move this team offensively. 6 minutes left in the third quarter. Lots of time. Don't try to get it all back at one time.
Stevens going deep to Kelly. And good defensive coverage back there by Rock Richmond. I'll tell you, Richmond and Minor do a fine job, and a penalty marker has been thrown down right at midfield.
And I see one of the other officials coming out onto the field. That may have been the zone official coming out, and we're going to have an illegal defense call. That's the signal being given.
Now the zone official is sitting upstairs to the right of us, and the call, we understand, is illegal blitz this time. Now only one linebacker.
Watch the two guys. Here comes a guy not lined up at a linebacker spot, coming on the blitz, and that is illegal.
Plus he came outside of the tackle box area.
Right.
So
there's
Joe Herring is...
You know, I think Joe does a little of this for the fans, too. Yeah, he's getting the fans on his side, too. Get mad with me, fans.
And he's got over 10,000 fans here, and there is the up official, the zone official, and that's Ted Humphrey.
He's the guy that has to make the call up here as to illegal defenses.
Stevens is going to be sacked from behind, and the first man that got to him was number 68, Pat Ogren. He's the second biggest man on the team behind Opfar. Ogren's from Wyoming, and he's 6'4" and 260 pounds. And by the way, we're told Opfar leaves with a severe groin pull, not a knee. I guess that's good news. I guess you'd rather have a, you know, in the entire picture of things, you'd rather have a groin pull than a knee.
Right. There you see Pat Ogren. Looks like he lives out in Wyoming. Kind of an outdoors type. Got the beard. Probably wearing a flannel shirt in that picture that we didn't get a chance to see.
Probably drives a 4x4.
There you go. Well, I drive a 4x4, and I don't own a flannel shirt.
I do, too. 5:40 left to go. Third quarter, Stevens is hit from behind and also hit the intended receiver, Richard Rogers. And the man over there was Stuart Mitchell, the quarterback turned cornerback. And, man, this crowd is really getting after it right now.
Here's Stevens looking for a place to set up and throw, and he gets nailed just as he lets go. Look at this. Everybody into the walls.
Fab Ray Collins was the man that nailed him from behind.
Here's Stevens. Now, what you do as a quarterback, you try to get your feet set up and throw it right in the kidneys. He takes a shot right in the small of the back. You'll get up tomorrow a little sore.
It's now 3rd down and 11. Kelly's in motion. And Stevens is nailed. That was the man that was blitzing that time. It was Mike Powell, linebacker, running back from Weber State, Utah. He was a designated blitzer that time. And the back just did a poor job of, watch it here.
Rob DeVita is the fullback in there, number 42 in white, and he just can't make the play. And Mike Powell does make the play, just keeps coming. He, another defensive player, a linebacker, as you say, out of Weber State. This guy was a leader on his team in college, 12 sacks, so he's used to getting in there and making the play in the backfield.
Stevens forgot that they were going to try a field goal, so he had left the field. So we're looking at 8 yards from the end zone, 58, about another 5. What do we got, 63 or something, and no chance. And Rock Richmond takes it at the 6. And coming down to make the tackle was Richard Rogers. And with 3:52 left to go in the third, we've got a timeout. 41-25. The Gladiators lead the Cobras, and one of the pops of arena football right there.
A less irritating shave. You could go to extraordinary lengths to find one. A shave with not 1 or 2, but 6 rich lubricants for less razor irritation than any leading brand. You could go to extraordinary lengths for a shave like this. Or you could reach for Edge. 6 lubricant Edge. More lubrication, less irritation.
Roger Twibell, Steve Rabel back with you in Pittsburgh, where the undefeated Gladiators leave the Los Angeles Cobras 41-25.
Well, I don't know who the trainer is. I agree with the second part.
I don't know if I've ever seen that one before. We had some calls for Dick Vitale here earlier tonight.
Yeah.
Fulmer intended on the far side for Dan Burmeister, and Joe Kelly was over there defending.
Burmeister, the young man out of North Carolina, Brian Piccolo Award winner. And, you know, for me, and I don't know about you, Roger, you've been around a lot, but for me last week in Chicago, to get a chance to meet and chat with Gale Sayers, Brian Piccolo's former running mate there with Chicago, a real thrill. And the guy looks like he can still put the pads on. I know he's a few years older and he's got a couple of gimpy knees, but boy, he looks like he's in pretty outstanding condition.
I saw every one of his college games growing up in Kansas, so I mean, it was just a thrill for me to talk to him. Pass was completed. Burmeister on the receiving end of it. He's just a typical Joe Herring type of player, 6'2" and 210. And I'm sure that before it's all over with the Pittsburgh Gladiators, he will play just about every position.
You almost have to in this league, as we have seen already tonight, a couple of key injuries now for Pittsburgh. You know, they may be able to hang on here, and they've got athletes that are good enough and enough depth to continue on. But if they've got injuries that are going to keep guys like Hohensee and Opfar out for a while, it could be tough on this Pittsburgh squad.
Stuart Mitchell's the man in motion. And the catch there by Burmeister again. Richard Rogers, one of the players over on the tackle. And so the Pittsburgh Gladiators, even though they lost their starter, Mike Hohensee, have not missed a beat with Brendan Fulmar from California of Pennsylvania.
And you see what Pittsburgh is doing right here. First of all, Burmeister's getting smacked once and then twice by the wall.
Caesar got it.
Yeah. The other thing Pittsburgh is doing, instead of doing that vertical type offense, throwing the ball deep, now they're trying to control the ball a little bit. They want to hang on to this ball, keep Los Angeles off the field, their offense.
1:40 left to go in the third, and that is Mitchell. Well, he's got good size. He's 6'3", 207 pounds.
You know, as a quarterback at Cornell, Stuart Mitchell, just a moment ago, we saw him special teams captain as well, but this is the quarterback of record for Pittsburgh right now. Brendan Fulmar from, as you've said, California University of Pennsylvania.
Behind Slippery Rock, probably the second most famous small college in the state of Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
But he's just done an exceptional job. He's very accurate. He's very confident. And right there he finds Kent Davis, wide receiver from the University of Colorado.
And you know, it doesn't hurt for Fulmar at this point in the game to have defensive backs from Los Angeles really gun-shy about that deep pass. They've been beaten now how many times tonight? So as they play deep, the pass to hit is that little hook pattern, and he's hit it about 3 times in a row now.
Mullen is going to come out of the game. He's limping on that left ankle. Mullen's played a tremendous game so far tonight. And the clock's now down to 34 seconds, and Pittsburgh leads 41-25. And they've got it 1st and 10. Let's call it the 11-yard line as Burmeister goes in motion. A fumble on the snap, and an interception by Wade Lockett, and he could go all the way. And he does. Touchdown. Boy, there was a mix-up on the snap right there. Fulmar got a handle on it, and instead of just eating it, he went ahead and threw it. And you've got an injury to one of the Pittsburgh players as Herring talks to Fulmar, and 85 Ernest Adams, one of the key men up front who caught a touchdown pass earlier tonight, is down.
You'll see why Ernest Adams is on the ground after this interception. But watch, Fulmar gets the ball late. He throws it, shouldn't have let it go. It's intercepted by Lockett. Now watch if we can see that is Ernest Adams, who got leveled by Weppy Powell. Lockett is going to prance in with an interception for a touchdown.
I can guarantee you, he's probably more excited. Look at this move in the end zone. He's probably more excited about the interception return for a touchdown than all the years he's been a wide receiver and caught him for touchdowns.
On the ground, Ernest Adams now up on his knees at least. I think he just got the wind knocked out of him. You see him trying to get his breath, but he took a nasty shot. Weppy Powell just unloaded on him. And again, you convert from offense to defense so quickly.
So Lockett with his first interception of the year, and it's for a touchdown. That's a great way to get things started as Adams makes it off the field under his own power. It's now 41-31, and this is going to be an interesting final 15 minutes. 17 seconds remain in the third quarter as the youngster Fulmar, who we just praised and said, gee, what a great job he's doing. He's moving the team down the field, very poised. Shows what happens to young quarterbacks when put in pressure situations.
And now L.A. going for two here. Matt Stevens talking to his receivers. He wants them on the opposite sides.
And it's incomplete. So the L.A. Cobras have only been able to convert on one extra point attempt so far tonight.
And again, as you said, when you're talking in terms of 6, 7, 8 touchdowns, that number of points is going to come back to haunt you.
I'd like to remind you, we'll be with you again next weekend, and we'll be at the Civic Center in Providence, Rhode Island for the New York Knights and the New England Steamrollers. New England coached by Babe Parilli. And we'll be with you at 8:30 Eastern Time. That'll be live right here on ESPN as our coverage continues.
As we take a look around the arena here this evening, Civic Arena, over 10,000 folks in the stands watching their Gladiators.
Olsen kicks it off, and it bounces behind the end line, so it will be brought out to the 5-yard line with 12 seconds remaining in the third quarter, and the Gladiators leading by 10 points, 41-31.
Now, one thing I'm going to watch on this next play, Roger, and that is number 92 on the field for Los Angeles, and that's Wade Lockett. A moment ago, he intercepts the pass and races the length of the field for the touchdown. That time, on the kickoff, you see him at the bottom of your screen right there. On that kickoff, he was leveled on a block. This is the time you come back after a guy like that and try to throw deep on him because he's hurting at this point.
We're heading to the final 15 here at the Civic Arena in Pittsburgh with the Gladiators leading by 10, 41-31.
Come on, everybody, Bud Light's got a brand new dance. Bud McKenzie's gonna do it. There's nothing to it to the Bud Light slide. We'll tell left and right when the music's hot. Have a cold Bud Light to the Bud Light slide.
Bud McKenzie parties with only Bud Light. He knows everything else is just a light.
Cold Bud. Have a cold Bud Light to the Bud Light slide.
Gillette has changed the face of shaving. First, we made it closer. Then we made it smoother. Atra Plus. Its Lubra Smooth Strip actually releases lubricants to glide the razor more smoothly. Incredible smoothness from the first stroke to the last. The Atra Plus system. First we made it closer, then we made it smoother.
ESPN is now the proud home of Motor Week Illustrated, America's first and foremost weekly racing news show. Keep pace with the racing action on television half hour. If it goes fast, catch it on Motor Week Illustrated.
The value leader on Miramar Road. We're gonna put you first from the moment you walk through our doors. We're saying hello, San Diego. Gibson, Pontiac, Gibson.
Once upon a time, there was a home with 2 TV sets hooked up to Cox Cable. One set had pay channels, one did not. One set was always busy, everyone crowded around. The other was always lonely, until Dad went to Cox Cable, and for only $5 a month got a cable box that added the same pay channels to the lonely TV. From then on, the second TV wasn't lonely anymore. Come into Cox Cable, and we'll give you the same pay channels for only $5 a month. Now that's a happy ending.
Back with you in Pittsburgh, where the Gladiators have a 41-31 lead. They have scored 7 touchdowns, have converted on 6 of the 7 extra points. Meanwhile, Los Angeles has scored 5 times, only made 1 extra point. And there is a 10-point difference as we start the final 15 minutes. Brendan Fulmer completes the first pass of the final 15, right at the 15-yard line. And that's Julius Dawkins with the reception. And we've got an injury update.
Now, Ernest Adams, who had his wind knocked out of him a few moments ago, he will return. But Opfar, the big offensive lineman, is out for the game now with a severe groin pull. He may end up on the injured list for Pittsburgh as well. So we'll have to keep track, again, of the injury situation as it relates to Pittsburgh. They've lost a couple of guys, including their quarterback, Hohensee, who got them pretty much this far already tonight.
Moran is the man in motion and sacks and flags down Weppy Powell of Batman and Robin fame came through. And of course, Pittsburgh is pointing in the direction of Los Angeles. These two teams meet again next week in LA.
So you won't have to do too much studying of films, I guess. They're going to know each other.
By the linebacker, 3 yards, still first down.
Illegal encroachment by the linebacker.
Take a look. The linebacker, Weppy Powell, he had this call on him a couple of times last week. When he's all set to blitz, he cannot step in between his defensive linemen. He has to remain behind a line drawn along the rear ends, if you will, of his defensive linemen.
1st and 7, quick out to Dawkins. And chasing him down from behind is number 80 for Los Angeles. That's Tony Palomera, another one of the players from Cal State Northridge.
As a coach, you don't want to take away the explosiveness, the aggressiveness of your defensive players. So you got to tell Weppy, look, we want you to be in there. We want you to make every opportunity to make this play, Weppy, but you got to be smart about it. You can't step in there. They're going to call you on that play for getting into that neutral zone on the blitz.
Clock will stop in the final minute of the game for out of bounds and incompletions. Rob Minor takes a big hit from Richard Rogers, and it appears to be short of the first down, depending on where the official will mark it, as Joe Herring has told his young quarterback, Brendan Fulmer, not to get over anxious. They're taking a lot of little short outs, little 5 yards at a time.
Again, at this rate, the way Pittsburgh had been stretching this defense, as we get a measurement down on the field right there, and it's going to be close for the first.
Their idea of ball control, Steve, that of the Pittsburgh Gladiators, is to throw it 5 yards, not to hand it off.
Right, yeah. As they've proven already once tonight by pitching it back and putting the ball in the ground, and L.A. goes the other way for the touchdown. They would just as soon do that. Well, that's the run-and-shoot style of offense, and that's what coaches here at Pittsburgh like to use. That's what they've used before. A couple of Houston Gamblers of the USFL, and their run-and-shoot Mouse Davis style offense is here. That little half roll with the quarterback and looking downfield for the quick routes. That's the kind of thing they do here, and they do it very well.
3rd and just inches. Right at midfield. Fumble. Fumble. And I know somebody's got it.
That's a good call. I tell you, one person's in there fighting for it. Number 32 in the white is Ed Zeman, and he's trying to pull the ball loose. The quarterback sneak try by Fulmer, and he doesn't make it. It looked like he left the ball on the ground. All right, 4th down play here.
And it's going to be 4th down. Now, they've had great success with Rusty Fricky on extra points. He appears to be in a zone. He seems to be locked in. And sure enough, they're going to bring him in to try a field goal right here.
Joe Herring, not a terribly conservative coach, but he's got to go with the odds here. He's got a kicker, as you say, who is hot.
He's got 2 inches.
You can almost fall forward. However, he just tried a quarterback sneak with a quarterback who couldn't even get the snap from center right at this point.
And he lost the snap earlier and threw an interception. So this is from the 17-yard line. It's down, it's up, and it's good. Well, I'll tell you what, talk about being in a zone. Rusty Fricky. Let's call it 40 yards.
As he gets the congratulations, makes his coach look like a brilliant guy, doesn't it?
44-31, Pittsburgh.
I heard you got one, Fred. I just had to come over and take a look.
Yeah, wanted one all my life. It's great. Look at the way it's put together. No wonder they last.
Mind if I just, sit behind the wheel? Oh, boy, would I like one of these. Can I take it for a spin?
Well, just in the front yard.
Oh, boy.
Nothing runs like a deer.
Budweiser and Bud Light join with USA Today to give baseball fans something new. Now, for the first time, you can also pick up an official All-Star fan ballot free wherever you pick up Bud or Bud Light. Vote for your favorite Major League players. Then, test your baseball trivia and win valuable prizes.
Answers are in USA Today every day.
So fans, settle back with a cold Bud or Bud Light. Vote for your favorite All-Stars and be part of a baseball tradition.
They're the Major League stars of the future. First, they're fighting to win the NCAA College World Series. 8 days of great plays beginning Friday, June 3rd, live on the ESPN.
44-31 as Rusty Fricky nails a field goal. He has been all but perfect. He's missed one extra point attempt. He's really kicked the ball off extremely well, and he's gotten better and better every week. If he gets much better than this,
well, I don't know.
He can ask for a raise, right?
Well, no, not really.
Okay, yeah.
They're pretty much locked into salaries in this league.
And off the net, Lockett will pick it up and go with it. And Lockett is dragged down from behind. Julius Dawkins was the man over there, and a flag goes down. Now, Dawkins is the man that had a hold of him, but it looked like Brian Moran and also Craig Federico applied some late night action.
Yeah, until that late hit, it was a great play by Dawkins. Now, here, watch, Lockett, he's going to cut back against the grain. Dawkins, an offensive player, does all he can do. Reach out, get a hand, stops the momentum. Now he's out of bounds. Now there's a late hit, and you saw 28 come in there and throw the forearm. That was Rob Minor, a wide receiver who, you know, how wide receivers are. We like to get our shots in where we can.
Cheap shot artists.
Well, we try. Sometimes it's the only thing you can do to protect yourself.
Folks, always beware of wide receivers.
That's right.
When no one else is looking.
They come dressed as defensive backs or special team performers.
Stevens, 4 touchdowns. He's got 14 on the season. And his team's behind. He had plenty of time. Lockett is there inside the 10, out of bounds at the 8-yard line. The man on the coverage was Rock Richmond. And quickly now, the Cobras have moved it down in scoring position.
Rock Richmond, all Pac-10 defensive back, that time could not locate the ball as Stevens finds Lockett, who'd come all the way across the field. Lockett steps out of bounds, and probably a good, we'll watch out for our cameraman down there who's in a
That's
tight spot.
hazardous duty in this game.
I don't know if they're paying him enough.
Just over 11 minutes left to go in the game. 44-31. Pittsburgh leads it by 13. First and goal. Stevens has got Mullen. He gets into the end zone. Boy, what a big night for Gary Mullen. 44-37 now.
What is that little spike that Mullen does? He sets the ball down and he just sort of taps it. All right, Stevens drops back. Now watch this catch by Mullen. Simple, quick out. But he just slides underneath the tackle. Poor tackle that time, or attempted tackle by Rob Minor. Again, another one of those wide receivers masquerading as a defensive back. And Mullen, who we saw limp off the field a little earlier, catches himself another touchdown pass.
So that's the 6th touchdown tonight. 7th touchdown, excuse me, for the Cobras, and they're going to try to go for 2. Mullen's in motion. They've only made 1 extra point so far. They had 2 men there. A flag is down in the end zone.
Now,
the intended receiver was Richard Rogers. Lockett was also there. and it was Brian Moran on the coverage.
And let's see if it's going to be an interference call against Los Angeles or against Pittsburgh, or maybe a pick call. Now we're going to get the defensive interference.
Number 31 defense replay.
Brian Moran, free safety out of the University of Akron, back there on the play. And what Los Angeles was trying to do was flood that one corner, have a guy a little deeper, a guy a little more shallow, and throw between them. Stevens getting the ball up in the air. I got to believe Lockett was supposed to be the intended receiver, but Moran pushing both of them, just trying to get them out of the end zone so they can't make the play.
So the ball, Steve, was moved up to the 2.5-yard line, and 44-37. They're behind by 7, but their extra point kicker has only made 1 tonight.
Yeah, I got to believe.
Obviously, Ray Wilsey has lost confidence in Olsen.
Sure, I got to believe you go for it. You got to go for the 2 here. But do you go for it that way when you haven't run the ball? Granted, you may fool this Pittsburgh team, but more than likely you're going to fool your own players who haven't run a running play since probably the last quarter.
So the Cobras have scored 6 touchdowns and have only made 1 extra point, and they trail by 7.
The test of a great airline is not just how fast it moves you in the air, but how fast it moves you on the ground. That's why at some of the busiest airports in the world, United Airlines offers you the most advanced baggage systems, faster ticketing and boarding procedures, and the most spacious, convenient, efficient terminals in the business. United Airlines, from the ground up, rededicated to giving you the service you deserve. Come fly the friendly skies.
Pushing hard, breaking through, 'cause good isn't good enough for you. Wash and go.
It's shampoo plus conditioner in one. For control you can't get from ordinary shampoo.
You got it together.
Hair's clean, easy to manage.
Ready to roll. Wash and go.
Shampoo, conditioner in one.
College baseball upcoming on ESPN Monday, May 16th at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific time. University of Miami is going to take a trip to the University of Maine in Orono. Huh? You can't get much farther north from Miami than that.
That's a home away from home series if I ever
I'll tell you, the Black Bears have a great baseball program up there, and of course Miami has had a successful one for many years too. As on the kickoff return, Rock Richmond brings it out past the 15 to the 16-yard line. Along with Steve Rabel, I'm Roger Twibell. 10:48 left to go in this game. And the Pittsburgh Gladiators, by virtue of Rob Fricke, who's made 6 of 7 extra point attempts and a field goal, they have a 44-37 lead over the Los Angeles Cobras. Mike Hohensee had left the game earlier because of a bruised shoulder. Brendan Fulmar has been the quarterback. And this is Richmond on the kickoff return. And watch the hit. Lockett's getting into this thing. The wide receiver's playing some pretty good defense. Fulmar.
And just a miscommunication there. Fulmar looking for Julius Dawkins on the post, or Julius thinking it's a post route. Fulmar looking for him straight down the sideline. And there, the secondary guy back there trying to make that play is Wade Lockett. And I'm telling you, Wade's got both hands on his hips. The young man is tired. He's been out there a long time playing both ways. You do that in arena football. Your offense, you turn around, you play defense. You also play special teams. That's how you get beat deep.
The Cobras have been outscored by their opposition in both the third and the fourth quarters in their previous 2 games with just over 10 minutes to go. And the reception and knocked out of bounds across midfield was Rob Minor. Wade Lockett, you can tell he's got his hands on his hips, his head is back. He's sucking in that air. And we'll mention one other thing here right now. The air conditioning unit in the Civic Arena is not working tonight. And Lockett is really sucking it up right now as the chains on the far side were thrown into a state of disarray after that last hit. So this is a break for Lockett here to try to catch his breath.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. Can you imagine running up and down this field as much as these guys are? And here's Fulmar throwing to the far side. And not only is it tough for you when guys are running past you deep, but it's tough when you're that tired to plant your feet and drive on that pass receiver. You sometimes let yourself sit back and let the guy catch the ball and come to you before you make the play. That's one of the things that Joe Herring has spoken so much about over the last couple days, and that is he feels like his team is the better conditioned football team out here, and in the fourth quarter, that it's going to show.
Well, while they fix the chains, we'll take a pause here with 9:49 left to go, and the Gladiators by 7.
Is Volkswagen Kearney Mesa more than just low prices? Yes! $19 delivers any Fox, van, or Jetta right now. Why not?
$19?
Is Kearney Mesa Suzuki more than just low prices? Yes! The #1 California beach buggy and $19 delivered. Why not?
$19?
And now a business update. 2 San Diego radio stations are putting their advertisers in touch with a $3 billion market that has been virtually untapped until now. 104.5 FM Radio Latina and 95.7 FM Fiesta Mexicana are the only advertising vehicles that reach the entire Hispanic community, a group numbering nearly 500,000. You can increase your business by advertising with Radio Latina and Fiesta Mexicana. Call today at 426-9090.
4:37, the kicking game has been the difference tonight, as Ken Olsen has not had any success for the Los Angeles Cobras. Rusty Fricky has had a lot of success for the Pittsburgh Gladiators. 3rd down and short. Julius Dawkins with the touchdown reception. And that time, the defensive player, Joe Kelly, got turned around, and Fulmar, the youngster from California University of Pennsylvania, hits pay dirt once more.
Julius Dawkins has done a pretty good job on both sides of the football this evening. He's caught now a couple of touchdown passes. As we see from the reverse angle, Fulmar not very pretty when he throws the ball, but lays it out there, and Julius Dawkins gets up in the air for it. Kelly kind of out of position, stumbling backwards. It's easy to do when you get tired back there in the secondary.
His 3rd touchdown catch of the night. And Joe Herring told us earlier today that, yeah, he did feel his team was well conditioned, strong at the end. And that's why they had been so successful during the first 2 games, and obviously successful here tonight. Fricky, well, I'll tell you what, he's just dead solid perfect.
For a guy that went 1 for 8 opening night and very nearly, again, had himself a bus ticket back to wherever, he's doing a pretty good job now. He's doing a great job tonight. Lycoming. That's right.
At Pennsylvania. 51-37, so it's a 14-point difference, but with 9:31 to go, this game is a long way from being over, folks. Pittsburgh scored 82 points last week, and Los Angeles, in their 2 previous losses, have scored 52 and 35. And there's Joe Kelly, the man that was just beat on that last play. You can't take it personally in this league, though, Steve.
No, you really can't.
Because it's going to happen too many times.
You know, that's something interesting, too, is defensive backs, they always say, have to be so tough and just forget about everything going on around them when they give up a touchdown pass. Receivers aren't used to that, and so when they're forced into that position, they have a lot to learn back there.
Kelly off the net. Oh, and he gets stuck. Miner laid a big league pop on him. Boy, Joe Kelly made that little spin move, and you never turn your back on the kickoff coverage team.
All right, here's Kelly. It's off the metal standard by the net. He comes out, looks for some running room. Boom. I mean, he runs right into Rob Miner, and we keep talking about defensive players that Pittsburgh has on the field. Rob Miner was a wide receiver at college at Iowa State, all Big 8 selection back there, and a fine wide receiver.
Stevens, quick out to Lockett. I'll tell you what, Lockett, you can tell his legs are getting tight. He couldn't even jump that time.
I mean, this guy's got nothing left in his legs right now. The problem is you don't have Cliff Branch. Cliff Branch would normally come in and spell Lockett. He's not here. He's got an injury. The player activated in place of Cliff Branch is the defensive specialist, Lou Green. And we haven't seen much of him this evening after he was beaten early.
Well, we haven't seen him on offense.
Yeah, right. As a defensive specialist, you won't. So poor Wade Lockett is going to be out here running and running and running.
Nearly picked off, and what a break. Lockett gets it. And Lockett goes down at the 20-yard line. I'll tell you, Wade Lockett. Look at him.
He's saying, oh, mama, please.
Oh, his legs are cramped up. You could tell on that last play.
Yeah, he's had it. And he may be back in if they can straighten the cramps out, but he's just about lost all his juice. This is just a fine play by him. Concentration. His body doesn't have anything left, but his mind is still working. The ball's off one defender, two defenders, and yet he sticks one hand out and he's able to make the catch. But he knows he doesn't have a lot of juice left in him to try to get upfield. He's just trying to get himself on the ground safely. Oh, he's tired.
That's a tired man right there.
You bet.
Yes, I'd like 2 of those pizzas.
Those pizzas? They'll be $17.99.
$17.99? But it says $10.99.
Not for those pizzas.
How can that be?
I think if you refer to the fine print.
Fine print?
Does not render vendor responsible.
May I help you?
Who are you?
I'd like to introduce our corporate attorney. He's here on a regular basis.
No, I'm not surprised.
At Little Caesars, you always get 2 great pizzas for...
On his feet and leaving the field. How difficult is it to hit the point after and the field goal in this arena football? Coming into tonight, in the league, 68 attempts for field goals, only 9 made. That's 13%. Extra points, 117 attempts, 57 made. That's 49%. What's Fricky done tonight? Well, he's made 6 out of 7 extra points, and he's made a field goal.
It's just a great performance by Fricky, and I think it's a real tribute to the young man for being able to put the pressure of opening night jitters and a lousy performance behind him and get better each week. You don't get much better than what he's doing this evening, at least in arena football.
Mullen is back in, along with Kelly, the wide receivers. And Stevens has been getting a lot of pressure put on him. He hurried that pass. Mullen now, you remember, as you take a look at Rusty Fricky, who's had such a big night. Mullen left the game earlier with a slightly sprained ankle. We're also told that Lou Green is not hurt, but coach is just not happy with the way he was playing. Well, I tell you, you can't get too unhappy with a player in this arena football when you only got 18 of them.
That's right. They got to stay on your good side, or you have to be able to absorb a little bad feelings, because they need to be on the field.
Just over 7 minutes to go, and Stevens is nailed. Couple of guys in there. 85, one of them, Ernest Adams, who is back into the game.
He's another one of those guys that has been with Herring for a number of years. Watch Matt Stevens drop back, and he barely hits his back foot before Katie barred the door. Here comes the big guys, and it'll be Adams from one side and then directly up the middle. Looks as though Michael Jones is getting in there as well, the big kid out of State University of New York.
And then Kendall Walls also. 5 sacks tonight. It's 3rd down and a cab ride. Stevens has got to roll out. He's just got to let it go. And it's incomplete.
And Stevens stays on the ground because he was smacked as he released the football. He may have more than just the wind knocked out of him, but he is on the ground at about the 3-yard line. Whoa, boy, Matt Stevens not feeling too well right now. Trainer talking to him.
Hip pointer.
Don't know. Didn't see him release the ball, but my guess is
he's got his back arched and his hip off the ground.
We'll get an idea right here.
See where he gets hit at.
Boom. Yeah, he just fell on his side, his shoulder, his stomach. Could have been almost anything at that point. Looks to be breathing okay, so it doesn't look like wind knocked out of him.
I don't know if Ray's breathing too good.
There's a worried guy.
51-37 with 6:13 to go.
You know, his team hangs in there and hangs in there. And they come back and they drive down the field and they make the plays. Then they turn around and give up a big play. I don't think he can afford to give up his quarterback, however.
Okay, here's what's coming up on ESPN beginning on Wednesday. It's the Stanley Cup Finals. The Boston Bruins, of course, beating the New Jersey Devils 6-2 in their 7th and deciding game, which you saw earlier here on ESPN. And it'll be the Bruins against the Edmonton Oilers beginning on Wednesday night.
Matt Stevens at least healthy enough to jog off the field under his own power, and that brings Eric Beavers back into the game, who we saw early on, third series of tonight's football game. He got in, didn't do a whole lot, came back out, and we've seen Matt Stevens ever since. Now Eric Beavers is going to be called on, at least for the time being, to try to bring these Cobras back.
Well, for the time being, though, they're going to go with their place kicker, Ken Olsen, to try a field goal. Another monumental kind of effort. Way short. And Rock Richmond could go all the way. And finally dragged down by Eric Beavers as Richmond brings it down inside the 10 to the 8-yard line.
And Roger, when you watch Richmond cut back against the grain, you saw a lot of white jerseys and a lot of tired legs out there, just unable to make the break with him. A couple of guys diving, lunging out there at Rock Richmond. Matt McKnight trying to keep the ball inside of him, trying to give ground. Now here's the cutback against the grain, and look at it, guys are staggering. Rob DeVita can't get there. Happily, Eric Beavers has been on the sideline the whole game as the backup quarterback had fresh legs enough to get over there along with the kicker.
Well, it was a 52-yard attempt, and Olsen's just got a tired leg, it looks like, tonight. He hasn't come close, and another good opportunity now for the Gladiators. Fulmar, or the intended receiver, and he had a lot of room with Stuart Mitchell, but the pass just ahead of his outstretched hands as the clock runs with 5:03 left to go. So the Pittsburgh Gladiators, with a 14-point lead and less than 5 minutes to go, look pretty secure right now to move their record to 3-0. The Cobras in danger, falling to 0-3. We're told Matt Stevens just had the wind knocked out of him. And Joe Herring is out on the field right now, motioning at his team.
He wants them to come back to the huddle for whatever reason, talk it over. Again, two really contrasting styles. Joe Herring marches up and down the sidelines, waves at the fans, yells at his players. Ray Wilsey kind of folds his arms and stands there and watches. Doesn't miss a trick, though.
The intended receiver was Dan Burmeister. Richard Rogers gave him a good pop. You should take a look at Ray Wilsey.
Time's running out on old Ray and his team, and he's just saying to himself, you know, we try to coach every possibility, and that's the problem with this game. Even a guy like Herring, who coached in this league last year, told us this morning he could walk out here tonight and see 5 or 6 things he's never seen in a game before. I'll tell you one thing he hasn't seen in a game before, and that's the kicking performance of Randy Fricke. He's never seen that in arena football.
You're absolutely right. 3rd down and 8. And the ball resting inside the 10, call it the 8-yard line. As the clock runs, there's Matt Stevens, hoping to get a couple more shots, hoping the defense can come up with a big play here. Fulmar to Dawkins, and it's overthrown, and that'll bring Fricke out of the field.
And a couple of fans come away with the ball as one of the players. Julius Dawkins slides into the padding down there underneath the bleachers.
Well, that's just concrete after the end of the playing surface.
Yeah, that's not a lot of fun to be falling down in there.
And Fricke has come out, and
he was expecting a wall there, and what it is just some pads stacked up where the bleachers are pulled back to that point, and he just kind of fell right underneath there between a couple of sections of bleachers. No harm done.
Fricke sets it down at the 15, 8 yards to the end zone, make it 23 yards on the field goal attempt with 2:45 left to go. If there's a more valuable player tonight, I don't know who he is. That's his 2nd field goal of the night. And the Gladiators with a 54-37 lead and 2:37 left to go. Remember, the final minute, the clock will stop on incompleted passes and out-of-bounds plays. As you see some of the crowd here tonight who made their way to the Civic Arena.
And they like what they've seen this evening. An exciting football game. Close down into the middle of the 4th quarter. As I think Joe Herring told us, the better conditioned team is going to probably take it. There you see the team over on the Los Angeles sidelines saying, what do we got to do to win one? 0-3, and granted, 12 games in the season, so 3 do not a season make. However, you start falling behind, it's tough to break that psychological habit.
12-game season, 6 teams, 4 will make the playoffs. So if you can get to 500, you might have a pretty good shot, as The ball hits the loose part of the netting. This kid has got a live leg tonight.
I think his leg has always been pretty strong and live. He's just had absolutely no direction with it. But tonight, even on the kickoffs now, he's putting it over the crossbar. That would have been a 50-yard, 58-yard actually field goal.
2 minutes, 28 seconds left in this game. And the Los Angeles Cobras, with Matt Stevens back in at quarterback, have really only on one time tonight had real good field position, and that was after the interception of Stevens. Finds Kelly, and Kelly out of bounds inside the 25 down to the 21-yard line. And another good pop taken by Matt Stevens.
So back in the game. Oh boy, not for long if he keeps getting hit like that. Just had the wind knocked out of him. Actually doing a good job. You know, Matt Stevens, it's tough for a quarterback standing there and get that kind of punishment time after time after time, especially after having just come off the field. He's a game young man.
This is where they got to hurry it up. That was a delayed release pattern by Richard Rodgers. There was a man blitzing in, and you see Stevens going over to the side and say, where did this guy come from? And down on the field again for Pittsburgh is Ernest Adams. You remember he left the game earlier.
Get the wind knocked out of him earlier. This looks like maybe something a little more serious than that. So now an official stops the clock at 1:26 to go here in the fourth quarter.
So the official takes a timeout with 1:26 left to go. And the Gladiators lead it 54-37. Well, the clock has been started. Adams was able to leave the field under his own power. Second down and 10. Stevens crossing pattern. Kelly and Steve, tell me about the feeling when you're up in the air, the ball is above your head as the Cobras will take a timeout, and there's just that moment of hesitation about how bad do I want to catch this ball and how bad do I want to be hit.
Oh, it's just such a grim feeling. Your entire life flashes before your eyes. Your career flashes before you. In my case, it put me to sleep. But as Stevens drops back from the reverse side, watch it. Joe Kelly going up. You know, you want to catch it. But at this point in the game, your body says, I don't think I can get up there that high, man. I'm tired. And, of course, you got a defensive back bearing down on you who's going to see to it that you don't catch it.
So the Cobras have used their first timeout with 1:08 left to go. And, of course, inside of 1 minute, as Ray Wilsey looks on rather anxiously and looks at the clock will stop on incomplete passes and out of bounds. So that last minute can be a long, long minute. As we'll remind you, we'll be back with you next Saturday night here on ESPN. The New York Knights and the New England Steamrollers. Steamrollers are 0-3, so they'll be looking for their first win. The Knights beat the LA Cobras, and that'll be live at 8:30 Eastern time from the Civic Center in Providence, Rhode Island. It was a pleasure to get back to New England.
Yeah, well, you're kind of a New England sort of guy, aren't you?
I can be.
Yeah.
Stevens comes underneath. Lockett. And we've hit the 1 minute mark. The clock stops as Lockett gets the first down inside the 10 down to the 7-yard line.
We didn't know if we'd see Wade Lockett again. He suffered cramps earlier. He was so tired he couldn't keep his head up from between his legs down there. And now he's back out on the field with a nice outstretched reception. Makes one man miss him, then kind of runs out of gas, runs into a couple of defenders.
Well, the situation is this. It's 54-37. The Cobras going for the score, make it 54-43. They have not been successful on the point after by kicking it just once tonight. They haven't been successful on the two-point conversion, but the two is what they're going to have to go to. If they can make the two, then that makes it 54-45, and they're still down by 9.
Yeah.
Then the drop kick comes into play.
Well, I hope for Kenny Olson's sake it doesn't, because I don't know how much drop kicking he's been practicing. I expect you'll just see Matt Stevens from here on out put it into the end zone, because with 59 seconds left, they just don't have a lot of time to work with now.
So they essentially need 2 touchdowns, extra points to score, or 3 touchdowns. as Rogers goes in motion. Well, there's Mullen wide open. He got a foot in. Oh, no, now they're saying he's out.
Oh, my. Oh, I'd argue that one, too. I'd love to see it on replay. But that one official was standing right there on the play. Here's Stevens.
We're going to get the best look at it from the reverse angle.
Now, Gary Mullen is running right down the back line of the end zone. The ball is in the air.
All he needs is 1 foot.
1 foot. Get out of the way, defensive player. Well, there's a foot on the line. So from that angle, it looked as though they were both on the line. Official right call.
Second down and goal. Stevens. Pass is broken up. Lockett, the intended receiver, Rock Richmond and Rob Miner. I tell you, Miner and Richmond have played tremendous games for Joe Herring defensively tonight.
You know, Richmond, that defensive specialist, that's what he's paid to do out here, is break up those passes. Lockett was looking for a pass interference call. He wasn't going to get one, however, because the two defensive backs, all they did was break on the ball. They came back to the quarterback like a good receiver should to make that catch. Wade wanted to stay in the end zone in hopes of scoring the 6th.
Third and goal. Stevens intercepted. Intercepted by Mike Powell, and he goes all the way for the touchdown. Six feet, 214 pounds from Weber State, Utah. And the Gladiators have reached the 60-point mark.
And again, defense, defense, defense. In the Joe Herring scheme, you wear down the other team with guys out there who are small but quick, and then you hope you come up with a big play like this as Matt Stevens scrambles around, throws kind of a
man was open in the end zone. Lockett was there.
Just couldn't get it to him. And here comes Powell down the sidelines. One guy to beat, and that's Stevens. And that's a mismatch.
He said, get out of here, kid. Yeah. He just, you know, get away from me.
45 yards for the 6th. And the Gladiators really just stomping them now. But a much closer game than the score is going to indicate at the end. I'm here to tell you.
Fricky. Gee, yep. He's unbelievable. This guy's probably a contortionist, you know?
Hey, look at him. He's so confident now he's walking off the field like this is supposed to happen.
61-37. Pittsburgh scored 82 last week, 61 this week, and with 36 seconds left to go, Joe Herring finally going, whoo, well, I guess I can breathe easy now.
That's right. He can have a sip of Coca-Cola over there, talk to some of the fans, talk to his assistant coaches and some of his players. Here we go again with Stevens throwing the ball, looking for a receiver.
Lockett was there in the end zone.
Yeah, a couple of yards deeper, but nothing on the ball, and here goes Powell down the sidelines.
Rogers was also in the end zone, as a matter of fact.
Defensive players just love it. You know, defensive players just love this opportunity to get to play offense, just to touch the football. With a guy like Mike Powell, former linebacker, oh, he eats this up.
Well, these two teams will go at it again next week in Los Angeles. Lockett picks it up. And that was Craig Federico. Who makes the tackle. And so with 31 seconds left to go, the Pittsburgh Gladiators hold a 61-37 lead over the Los Angeles Cobras. And you've made those long plane rides coast to coast, haven't you?
A lot. I'll make one tomorrow.
No, I know you will. Me too.
But I won't make one winner or loser of a football game.
Well, Stevens just keeps on passing it. And the interception, they said no, he was out of bounds. And that'll stop the clock with 25 seconds left.
Not too much that Matt can do at this point. In fact, Gary Mullen has turned into an official as opposed to a receiver. So let the guy try to intercept it. I'll just call him out of bounds. It's easier that way. I'm too tired.
Well, we'll be seeing Los Angeles again before this year's over. They've got a couple things to do. They need to get more variety, obviously, in their offense. They need to come up with some more players. And they've had problems in the second half. They've played pretty good up to a certain point, and then they seem to just get real tired.
Yeah. Well, they need to stop the big play. We're just going to run out the clock here now. That's going to give it to Weppy Powell, try to pick up a couple of yards and pad Weppy's stats rushing the football. What they need to do more than anything is to get a little more consistency on defense so that they don't turn right around after scoring and then giving away a big touchdown play, because Pittsburgh had several of those tonight.
And that's what they're going to do, let the clock run out. Well, they'll take one final snap, and Stevens will throw it downfield to Mullen. This is pretty funny.
Oh, sprint.
This is pretty funny. It's a touchdown. I can't believe they did that. I can't believe they did that. And then he spikes it.
That'll look good on Gary's
This
stats.
is arena football, folks. I mean, look at Herring's over in the sideline. I mean, there were too many players in the field because the guys were already walking on the field. The flag wasn't thrown, and
now you have to end the game. It's not over yet. They get a chance at 2 points. Nice move by Mullen, who's tired anyway, and he just out sprints Federico to the end zone. Now we're going to come back on the field and kick the point after.
Is it pad the stats time? Is it contract
Why
time?
not? Why not? We got to go for 2 points here. Let's try to close the score up, make it semi-respectable.
Well, that's one of those things probably Joe Herring didn't expect to see.
No, again, 6 or 7 things you've never expected to see in a football game. Here comes Stevens.
Well, can they get a 2-point conversion?
No, we're going to...
Justice is served. So, Joe Herring, the winning coach, as the Pittsburgh Gladiators defeat the Los Angeles Cobras 61-43, and they move their record to 3-0 on the young season. The Cobras are 0-3, and let's take a look at Brendan Fulmar as he drops back to pass. He finds Julius Dawkins, number 46, and Julius is our Little Caesars Iron Man player of the game. We're proud to announce that Julius, with 3 touchdown receptions, is bestowed that. We'll be back in just a moment. Once again, the final score, the Pittsburgh Gladiators 61, the Los Angeles Cobras 43. Tonight's game was brought to you by Bud Light. Everything else is just a light. And by your local Little Caesars, where you get 2 great pizzas for 1 low price. Don't forget, next Saturday, we'll be in Providence, Rhode Island, as Jim Krochicki and the New York Knights take on Babe Pirelli's New England Steamrollers. That's live at 8:30 Eastern Time. I'd like to thank Bruce Dorshak and all the folks with the Los Angeles Cobras, Denny Petro and all the folks with the Pittsburgh Gladiators for all their help in making this telecast possible. For Steve Rabel, I'm Roger Twaddle saying good night, everybody, from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Airlines. From the ground up, rededicated to giving you the service you deserve.
The record. The swing and a miss. Plesac has his